come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Stop doing those diet or workout fads to lose weight. Use the tried and true approach from Rockin' That Ideal Life that helps you find balance while enjoying food in moderation and nourishing your body. Try the Lean 30 program at rockinthatIdealLife.com and let today be your last first day of your weight loss journey.
When buying or selling your home, you need to feel protected. Realtor Mike Burgoyne not only looks out for your interests, but as a St. Louis area police officer will make sure you feel safe and well-informed with every decision. Email Mike at strikewithmike.com and start the process today. That's Mike at strikewithmike.com.
Welcome to episode 19 of season 13 of Let's Go Blues Radio, the often imitated, never duplicated, I wish I knew how to quit you. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Let's Go Blues Radio. Would you like that Valentine's Day quote tie in there?
I feel like that accent also works for I don't want your life.
little mountain love between the boys. Special thanks to our sponsors, rockinthatIdealLife.com and Realtor Mike Burgoyne for once again proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our t-shirt shop at letsgoblues.com for the very best St. Louis Blues themed t-shirts at a fair price. It is Wednesday, February 14th, 2024. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. This is episode number 450 all time. And we're streaming right now on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Grindr for the 14th here, and OnlyFans. Why not? To interact with the show on social media, our handle on all the socials is at LGB Radio. I am Kurt Price, and my co-hosts are for the big show tonight, Bill Day and Jeff Ponder. The agenda for tonight includes a discussion about the Blues coming out of the long all-star break with wins versus Buffalo, Montreal, and then a loss to Toronto. Bill Day's Save of the Week, edition number 2. The trade deadline is March 8th, so it's time to start speculating about that. Morgan Riley gets 5 games for cross-checking Ridley Gregg after an interesting empty net goal, which we'll talk about. All that in a bag of chips and more on this episode of Let's Go Blues Radio, fellas. Welcome to the show on this Valentine's Day. Are you catching flack for doing the show on this Valentine's Day?
Yes. I was questioning why the hell you guys would do this on this evening.
Yeah, I got in some trouble. But like I told you before the show, Kurt, I told the wife I'm taking her out Friday night and I'm taking her out Saturday night. So I'm like, you can give me Wednesday for the love of God.
And she gets to be married to you as well. So she should be
true.
Thankful just in general.
I should be able to podcast 7 nights a week with how lucky she is to have me in her life.
She should be thanking your
really
lucky stars.
You hear that, honey? You should be thanking me. She's gonna come down and kick my ass.
She's drunk.
Yes.
Which, just makes it all that much more likely that she's gonna come down and kick his ass.
Exactly.
So,
Yep. 100%.
It may just be you and me, Bill, for the second half of this show.
Yeah.
I might still be here with like a black eye, but that's it.
All right. I guess congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs for you football fans out there for winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't care, right? I mean, you're on the Illinois side. It's not a big deal to you, right?
I just have a hard time caring about the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a game for a neutral, right?
Yeah, it was.
I love watching football. I have a hard time being emotionally invested with any team now that St. Louis had their team wrongfully stolen.
Did you see what Demoff said?
Yeah, that fucking dumb.
God,
he's a piece of shit.
Can you really be that fucking stupid?
He's the liar in chief, right? That's what they called him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what a piece of shit he is.
Yep.
Great game. I
was.
loved this game. This was it was, part of me was pulling for the Chiefs just because people are irrationally stupid about the whole Kelsey and Swift thing. I don't know.
As I've said on this show, I'm not a big fan of Taylor Swift, but I could give a shit less
Oh.
about their relationship and people
And
who
how much
bitch
they
about
show her
her.
on TV.
Yeah, the people that bitch that she's on screen too much. What did they say? She was
It-
on screen for 52 seconds during the Super Bowl.
I think it was like 52 or 6. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
like,
less
come
than a minute.
on, get over
Yeah.
it. It used to be Brittany Mahomes. They used to show her that much.
Well, here's the deal.
Now it's just Taylor Swift.
I'm interested in how she reacts to, the Chiefs play on the field. Why not? You flash on the screen for a few seconds and go back to the what's going on the field. I have no issue with that. That's
I will say the only thing that bothered me was when they won, the first person they flashed to was her. I'm like, no. Show the players, show the bench, show the coach. Like, let's get to the other people in a minute. That was the only thing that I was like, okay, come on. That's too much. Other than that, no problem.
great game.
Great.
Fantastic game.
And hey, I think I've said before, my wife's family's from Columbia. So for those of you not in the St. Louis or Missouri, Illinois area, that's about halfway between St. Louis and Kansas City. So they've always been Chiefs fans. My wife grew up, kind of supporting the Chiefs, kind of supporting the Rams. So she's a Chiefs fan fully now. And so they actually have a reason for it, but not that matters. I think you should be able to root for whoever the fuck you want to root for. So for me, I was happy because I watched the game with them and we celebrated and hugged and had a great time, had a great night. As I said before, I'm a Packers fan, so hoping next year will be a even better year than the Packers already had. But still, Kansas City, they are at this point, whether you like it or not, they're kind of St. Louis's hometown team. Because we don't have a team. So
they're barely in Missouri, though.
Barely. Yes, that is true.
Oh, the Cardinals are barely in Missouri, too. The St. Louis Cardinals. So if
that's actually a good point.
They're almost
Kansas
in
City
Illinois.
Chiefs are as much Missouri as the St. Louis Cardinals and Blues.
I guess, Kansas City also is in Kansas, too, though. St. Louis is not in Illinois. So.
There's an East St. Louis.
But that's not St. Louis. It's different. It's a different city.
Well, still.
It's not. It's a completely different thing. It's called East St. Louis, but it's not.
You're just arguing semantics now.
It's like Virginia and West Virginia. It's not the same state. It's not just the western portion of Virginia.
Trees. I knew Father Nature was a fan of the Packers. Hell yeah, Ponder. Packers got a great young crew on offense. I want to see Cook next season. Me too, and I am loving seeing Jordan Love and his progression. So we'll see what he does in his sophomore year. But this is not a football show. We will move on, but I think it is important. Oh, here we go. 37. Yo, the Battlehawks are St. Louis's football team. Caw-caw! I'm with you, baby. I'm with you.
I enjoy the Battlehawks as a sideshow. I think they're fun.
Yeah, I agree.
What bugs me is that if when the conversation happens where people say, "Hey, would you welcome if the NFL were to expand? Would you welcome the NFL coming back to St. Louis?" And what bothers me when people say, "No, fuck no, we got the Battlehawks."
Yeah. No, I got
no
Crappy Goalie, listener, friend of the show. He is like anti-NFL, says he has not watched a second since the Rams left, which I believe him. We've asked him that, and he said, no, fuck that organization. And I'm just like, bullshit. The NFL comes back here, you will be the first in line to buy a ticket to the opening night. So don't feed me that shit.
Yeah, see, the way I look at it is I love watching football. I like it. And, because the NFL is kind of a shit show with the owners and everything, I'm not going to let that interfere with my enjoyment of watching the game. I try and disconnect. I know it's hard, maybe hypocritical. So what? I like watching football on TV. I try not to think about the ownership side of it too much, except when Kroenke's involved. Then fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck anything Kroenke touches.
Yep. Right. And we all agree with that. But no, let's move on from football. Do want to say one quick thing. Again, with it being our Missouri brothers, over in KC. Hope nobody listening to the show was affected by the tragic shooting today. Absolutely ridiculous. You can't go to something like this. I had a coworker. I think she was confused. I think she thought that I lived in Kansas City, and she messaged me today and asked, are you okay? Are your family and friends okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm not in Kansas City. Like, I'm on the good side of the Missouri. Not the right time probably to make that joke.
You're on the good side of the tracks.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it's just, my comment back was, it makes you think of like 2019. I was down there for the parade. I was down there for the ceremony, and it's just like something like that happens. You are surrounded by people. Where the fuck do you go? You just have to run any direction you can where there's an opening. So terrifying. Sucks this had to happen, but hopefully, again, nobody listening to this show has been affected by that tragedy.
I didn't even know it had happened until like 5 o'clock. I was not listening to the news today. I was just working from home. I just was not. I didn't have, I was actually working.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the news up. Wasn't browsing the web, and I just didn't hear about it until I was like, oh shit, damn, I didn't even know.
Yeah, I was in a meeting at work, and I just happened to catch it, come across my watch, and like, oh shit, this is terrible. But looked like from some video of the scene that it was people in the crowd that tackled him and tackled the guy and held him down. So
video is Cahokianese.
Yes,
for video.
It is.
But is, just so we're clear, is Taylor Swift okay?
I think she's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as she's
probably a little traumatized, but she's fine.
Was she there? There was some speculation whether she's gonna be there. Okay.
Pretty sure she was.
Somebody was like, they weren't sure.
All I know about the parade today was that there was a shooting. That's all I know.
Well, I heard on this morning when I was taking my kids to school, they said that they're expecting a certain amount of fans, but if Taylor Swift is going to be there, they expect those fans to be doubled.
Yeah.
So
not surprising.
That's crazy.
You know what the second most watched event in TV history is, right?
The second most watched event?
Do you know what the first most watched is?
It's not the MASH finale, is it?
No.
That's up there.
Number one is the 1969 moon landing. Yes, the moon landing, because it was broadcast literally on every network. So if you turned on the TV, you were watching the moon landing. Number two, the 2024 Super Bowl.
Really?
Because Taylor Swifties, they jumped in there as well and watched the Super Bowl. So it is now the second most viewed broadcast ever in TV history.
I know the MASH finale is up there. It was like a big deal.
It is.
And that was back in the day when there were only 3 networks. So people didn't have many choices either. So they were limited.
But
see if I can find it.
On the subject of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they forgot to do the Biden endorsement at the end. So the whole plan just went to shit right at the end.
Yep. What were they doing?
Can't believe they forgot to do that.
They were supposed to endorse Biden.
That was the whole conspiracy theory that was floating around for weeks.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep.
Or, well, also, he was going to trick everyone into getting the Pfizer vaccine, right?
Of course.
Somehow, some way. Inject it into their veins through the TV.
Man, I am having trouble finding. Here we go. Oh, my goodness. It's number one, the Apollo 11 moon landing, and then it's all Super Bowls for the top 10.
Really?
Yeah. Super Bowl. Oh, my God. I'm not even going to try to do...
oh, yeah, how about that?
The Roman numerals.
Damn. Hey, look at that. MASH is the first TV show after the Super Bowl. So I was in there. I was in the right ballpark there. MASH is number 11. But
That's
Super Bowl 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 10 are Super Bowls. Wow.
Yep. Well, first one's the moon landing.
List of most watched television broadcast in the United States. I'm seeing number 1 is Super Bowl.
I saw that list too. I don't think that was correct. Let me look. Okay, so you're looking at Nielsen Media Research. The Apollo 11 moon landing was before Nielsen.
Oh,
Yep.
so yeah, and so they said they estimate between 125 and 150 million people.
Yep.
Gotcha, and that would be number
that's
one.
number one.
If that's accurate.
Yep.
How do they even know that? How do they even know? How do you know how many if you don't have the
probably
rating
just
system?
figure how many TVs were on at certain times and figure everybody was watching TV at this time. Right? Because like I said, it was broadcast on all networks.
Yeah, I know.
Couldn't get away from it.
I mean, I get it, but I mean, I don't know how you'd even know.
Look at that, Ken Morris. Your numbers don't count here, Ken, because you were in Canada. I watched the moon landing live in Nova Scotia. So there you go.
When he typed NS, I was thinking, what state is abbreviated NS? There is no
North
NS.
South Carolina.
North South Carolina. Name a state that starts with an S. Go.
Sacramento.
California. Right.
Saskatchewan.
That doesn't start with South, I guess. Okay, so official beers of episode number 450. You mentioned before the show, Jeff, that's a milestone show, and for some reason, the arbitrary number that is 450 is somehow a milestone because it's like
that's what I always laughed
divisible
about
by 50.
With goalie wins, when Brodeur was going, was it after 600? Like nobody else had reached 600, and it was like, dude, you've already got the record. Like, why does the number 600 matter to you?
Yeah, it's always been funny to me. Like just because it's a magical even number like that, divisible by 100, it's like magical for some reason. It's like why?
Yep.
Why is it? Because it's turning the dial from the 5s to the 6s.
I guess.
I mean, okay. I mean, I'm on board. I want to. Why? There's not a wrong answer for that.
Nope.
Official beers. My handle's at cprice12 on the Untapped app. Jeff's is jponder94, and Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33. And I guess we're going me because, Blues are playing well. I've got another Four Hands candy bar milk stout. It's the Snickers variant, the peanut and caramel chocolate milk stout from Four Hands. This is the best one, in my opinion. Have you had these? Yes, no.
I have not yet picked any up.
Okay.
I assume they're probably gone by now.
Probably. But they're on tap there for a while. The Snickers one is the best one. It's got although I'm a fan of like peanut buttery beers, and that's what that tastes like. So
yeah,
it's quite good.
I've got some time off next week, so I'll slide by the tap room and pick something up, and if that's still there, I'll get it.
It's good. It's kind of like
it's
kind of like a absence of light, but different. A little different. It's good.
Sorry, this is Four Hands, right?
Yes, Four Hands.
Yeah, I was out there Christmas break. I would have a bad time, I guess. It was like 2 days after Christmas, and they were picked over. There was not much left in the cans, and I'm like, damn, I picked a bad time to come here.
It's like the line in Airplane. Damn, picked a bad day to start going to Four Hands.
Yeah, I picked a bad day to stop doing cocaine?
No, stop sniffing
drinking,
glue.
Sniffing glue.
Stop
smoking
sniffing glue.
That's
That's
it.
it.
Smoking and
Sniffing
drinking
glue
too.
was the last one.
Yeah.
He does it
And the
several
shit
times
really
over.
with
I just watched that 2 weeks ago.
Ever seen a grown
That's a
man
good one.
naked?
You ever been to a
There's-
Turkish prison?
There's a story behind. You heard the story, right, Bill? Jeff and I were playing wiffle ball at some some family event or some reunion or whatever at Longacre Park in Fairview Heights. This was a long time ago, and this kid was annoying me, and it was. I mean, it sounds like way more wrong today than it did back then. Back then, it was more funny, but he was annoying the piss out of us. And I was like, "Go away!" And I'm like, "You ever seen a grown man naked?" And if someone were to hear me say that today, whoa,
Right.
shit!
Local man Proposition's boy in park.
Yeah, he's probably about 8 or 9 years old. You know, it was.
I think you'd have the sexual offender tag on your house at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
It's no different than exposing yourself, I guess. You got that sexual offender
Pretty much.
label. For your rest of your life. Ouch. Okay, who's next?
Speaking of sexual offenders, Bill, please go ahead.
Wait, 3 weeks ago, I was the one that did so much for women's sports, and
That's
here
right.
we are.
You really turned a corner in the last
I
3
really
weeks.
did. I am going Bourbon County
Ooh.
2022. Just one of
Wait,
the
what is that?
regular, not a variant. This is just the regular Bourbon County Stout. They put it in 12-pack bottles.
Did they? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
or
Is that
12-ounce bottles for that year only.
which year is it? 2022.
22.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah, and
'Cause that's a lot to drink otherwise.
it is
Very cool.
from our friends unwittingly at Global Brew.
From our
The glass.
Oh, right.
Hmm.
Well, you know, they charge out the ass for that shit.
Right. I paid you $15 for a 6-ounce pour.
Yeah.
Take it the glass.
How much were those flights? Like $80?
Yeah, it was
It
ridiculous.
was insane.
In the chat over on YouTube, Winning Unlimited, friend of the show, says Bill has a rotating stock of jerseys for the background. Price, Elliott, Waugh last week, I believe. Yeah, you got who's the one on the I guess your right, our left, very right.
That's
So it's
I see a number on there.
that is so the Winter Classic, Minnesota Winter Classic is David Perron.
Perron.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You've worn that on the show.
Yep, and the other
And the one next to
That's
it.
a good one.
That one next to it is a Butte, as we call it in hockey. The Billy Blue Note.
Yeah.
Let's Go Blues radio jersey.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to I need to work on it, but I think pretty soon, guys, we are going to have some mock-ups for a white jersey for Let's Go Blues Radio. So
Nice.
I mean, Kurt, if you want to take a stab at a mock-up, you could do it.
We should do it like the 92 jerseys.
I agree. I think
Include
that'd be
the
awesome.
St. Louis flag. It's special.
Yes, we got to do that. Clearly.
Yeah, let's make it as ugly as possible, just to incorporate elements. No, who cares how it looks?
Speaking of jerseys, I did order my jersey for the season finally. You guys want to take a stab at who I got?
Oh my god!
It is a current player.
Current Blues
FYI.
player. Blues player.
Current Blues player. Yeah.
Tyler Tucker.
Prunovich.
No. Bill, what's your real guess?
Hofer.
No.
My real guess would be Jake Neighbors.
Bill Day will be correct.
That was a good guess.
I pulled the trigger. I thought, that's a guy that's probably going to be sticking around for at least a couple seasons. They seem to love him. And I love him. I love his game. So I got myself a Jake Neighbors. It was between him and Oscar Sundquist. And I was just, I don't know. I might pull the trigger on Sundquist if they sign him to another contract. Because right now he's a free agent at the end of the year. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I might wait on that. But I don't know. I think there's a good chance they bring him back for at least another season.
Right. Or he winds up just a bartender at Urban Chestnut.
Right. Yeah. Or he plays for City.
True.
All right.
Yep. 37 saying 63 in the chat. I don't know if you got that in before I actually said it, but 37 is correct.
And 37 and 63 is 100. So just...
That's true. My beer of the episode is I'm drinking out of my wonderful whatever the name of that mug is from the Harry Potter series.
I thought that was the Predator at the bottom. The
Predator.
That head at the bottom thing from I can't see details.
Oh, it kind of.
It looks like the
kinda
Predator
looks like
head
it.
a little bit.
I see it.
A little bit.
No, it's from the Bull's Head or whatever the name of that place is. We got it at Universal. But my beer is the Urban Underdog American Lager from Urban Chestnut, one of my favorite lagers in the St. Louis area.
Also one of Darren Pang's favorite lagers in the St. Louis area.
Prost.
Should whip out the Darren Pang bobblehead, which is right behind me, right there.
You know what's funny is that if you weren't on camera, I guarantee you could do that like instantly.
Oh, yeah.
But you're watching yourself and you're just
I've
like,
gotta,
I got to make sure I
I
get
gotta
this
move
right.
my fingers slowly in the right direction, and you always move it the wrong way. It's like trying to
Yep.
plug in a fucking USB cable. It's
Mm.
like you always get it
Yes.
wrong the first time. You gotta flip it around and then flip it around again because it was right the first time.
Yep.
All right. The Blues come out of the break with a 3-1 win over the Buffalo Sabres. Personally, most fans, I'm sure, were curious how the Blues would play after their long layoff. Was it like 10 days?
11
days.
I believe.
And also following up that awful game versus Columbus right before the break started. So Hofer was in net. You guys were surprised about Hofer being in net for this game?
I was a little bit, but turned out to be the right call.
Yeah, I wasn't. At first I was. When I first saw they released the projected lineup, and I was like, Hofer? But then I was like, well, they are playing a back-to-back. I wasn't shocked at all. I still stand by and just personally, and I think Kurt, you agree. I'm pretty sure Bill, you do too. 2 pretty easy games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Part of me says you're coming out of a long break. Let Binnington get his bearings. Play him in both games. And I think they could have and would have been fine.
Well,
but in terms of what the Blues do, I was not shocked to see Hofer.
I wasn't shocked either. But with the Toronto game coming up and Edmonton coming up and Nashville, Binnington's playing all 3 of those.
Yeah.
And Toronto
Yeah,
again.
That's true.
So
yeah, that's true.
I mean, he'll have played. He better be playing 5 straight. With Montreal, Toronto,
That's
and now
true.
Edmonton, Nashville, and Toronto again. Unless he just completely shits the bed against
I'm-
Edmonton and
Yeah,
Nashville.
he'll have to have a bad start for him to not get all those starts, I think.
No, I disagree. I think he'll get the start against Nashville probably.
Hofer?
Hofer will.
Really?
They've not treated this as a an A-B situation. It's a 1A, 1B situation with the way that they've run the tandem. And they have a strategy of, it's not been made public what it is, but they are running Hofer out there come hell or high water. And
I'll be pissed.
It's working out great.
And
Don't be pissed.
Well,
don't be pissed if he goes out and beats UC Saros.
No.
We're due for a 7 spot on that kid.
No, I mean, I'm happy with Hofer's play. I am. But, you say it's a 1A, 1B. That's enough. If you were to say who's the number 1 goalie in this team, it's Binnington. There's no question. He's the number 1 goalie. The game against Nashville on Saturday will be the biggest game of the season. And I can't see them putting Hofer out there for that game. I can see them, but I will be irritated if that's the case, because
I agree.
I mean, Binnington is as much as I agree with you, Bill. They have given Hofer some starts that you would think, wow, that would be a game that your number 1 goalie should start this season. This being the biggest game of the season, you gotta go with. Now I can see them going with Hofer for the second game against Toronto.
Yeah,
I can see them going with Hofer for that game.
Oh, maybe,
because
it's not a division rival.
Even though you're at home,
not battling for playoff positioning.
Even though you're at home, and
I still go with Binnington.
I would too.
Yeah,
but I can see the team. Well, they beat Binnington 4-1 last. Well, they scored 3 on him. We'll give Hofer a shot this time at home too. So,
I would say that if the Blues could have known what Toronto's lineup was going to be in the game yesterday, Hofer would have got that game. It was basically the Marlies, and Austin Matthews and William Nylander. And I think that's the game that you would have given Hofer. But coming out of the break, I thought, with the back-to-back, it makes sense. And Binnington has a history with Jake Allen, who is likely going to get the start for Montreal, so it's a good story. I had no qualms.
Okay. And like I said, you got to figure it's Binnington against Edmonton, and then
Yeah.
Well, we'll see about Nashville, but I expect. Yeah, that's a story. Now all of a sudden in my head, I'm anxious to see who starts in goal against Nashville on Saturday.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the announcement. I'm like, oh, am I going to be annoyed or am I going to be, okay, that's the way it should be.
So I've actually set notifications on for when the Blues post a Facebook message the morning of the game. Like I'll go on Facebook first thing when I start work, and I'll go to Facebook and I'll say, yeah, notify me when the Blues post, because usually their first post on game day is the projected lineup. And so I'm like, I have to know who's starting, otherwise it's going to be bugging me all day.
And if Arizona could score a fucking goal against Minnesota tonight, they're losing 1-0 right now. It'd be great if they could knock off Minnesota.
They had one that got taken away.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, they just missed a good chance there. Okay, so the only goal in this game to get by Hofer was an own goal. Kessel tries to clear a puck in the slot, and it goes off of Suncoast's skate. Right, I mean, it went. I mean, like 3/4 of the way up. I mean, it was like a shot. It was crazy how it went in. Yeah, and that was the only one to beat Hofer. So he played well in this game. This was the Blues' 6th win in the last 7 games. Neighbors continues to impress. He had 2 goals in this game, his 16th and 17th of the season. His second goal of the game with 2 minutes to go, and we can talk about some other goals, but this is the one that I thought was. I don't think they praised this enough on the. They did a little bit. This goal was beautiful to me, and it all started with Neighbors at center ice banking that backhand pass off the boards to a breaking Schenn, who. I mean, that was a very well disguised play, because Schenn's breaking up the middle, but you don't really see that yet when and Neighbors sees it. He sees like 3 seconds ahead of what's happening, and bank off the board. Schenn gets it. They come in, and then boom, Schenn does the pass off pad, and Neighbors is streaking on the middle and slams it home. I mean, that was, you couldn't draw it up any better as far as the pass off pad goes, and then the pass to center. It was fantastic. I was loving this goal.
Well, and it's funny you say you can't draw that up any better. That's how they want to draw it up. Like that's the type of play you want out of a Schenn Neighbors combo. And it was executed perfectly, just beautiful. And I think I even said that on Twitter. I'm like, that's a perfect pass-off pad. Like, you don't see, there is not a better pass-off pad play that you'll see. And just Jake Neighbors doing what he's done all season. I mean, kid's been incredible.
Yeah, he's so dialed in right now. And just the first goal, too, to have the presence of mind to backhand the carom through the slot into the empty side. Beautiful goals.
And he didn't just put it in the empty net, an open side. He put it under the bar.
Yeah.
Shelf. It. That was it's beautiful.
Absolutely no chance for UPL. I'll just call him. Uso Pupa Piki Lakinen.
There's too many consonants in his name when people say it. It's like, what?
Have you seen that billboard in Buffalo that like one of the Buffalo hospitals posted? It's hilarious. And it's a real billboard. It says like the 3 hardest things to say. 1, I need help. 2, thank you. And 3, and it was the goalie's name.
Uka Pekalukanen.
Yes. And I'm like, that is brilliant. So on this goal, Neighbors, that was his 6th game opening goal of the season. That's 3rd most in the NHL, behind David Pastrnak of the Bruins, who has 8, and Artemi Panarin of the Rangers, who has 7. So pretty fucking elite company for Jake Neighbors there. Very nice.
He's doing a lot of stuff well this year. And he's not shying away from physical play. He'll fight a bitch. Try to, whatever. I mean, it's the effort that counts.
No, he is a the character guy all around, has talent, has leadership qualities, and like you said, isn't afraid to fight a bitch.
Buffalo is going to miss the playoffs this season again. Be their 13th straight season without making the playoffs.
Ridiculous.
Tage Thompson, after a 94-point season last year, which was a contract year, has 29 points in 42 games played this year, which is the first year of his new contract. He's fallen off a chunk from last season. He was hurt for a little bit. But yeah, so and every time, so Thompson was, if you remember, was part of the trade that brought Ryan O'Reilly to the Blues in 2019 season. And O'Reilly right away led the Blues to the Stanley Cup, won the Conn Smythe for the most valuable player in the playoffs. And Thompson and the Sabres have yet to make the playoffs. I think came close last year. But and I always I used to feel bad for Sabres fans because how much they're fantastic hockey fans. It's a fantastic hockey market up there, and they're just given this shit team that should be. I mean, you finished out of the playoffs 13 straight years. You should have a treasure trove of good players that you've drafted, and they have drafted some good players, but it just hasn't worked.
Right. And I expect after this year that Thompson's got to go the Eichel route and force a trade, because he's super talented player. But yeah, I mean, it's just not coming together for them. Whether it's an injury or whatever, they just look at the last few seasons. Their Octobers have been super solid, except for this year probably.
Isn't that weird?
And then they just fall flat. And Granato got the promotion a couple of years ago because he was able to keep them going a little bit longer. Still couldn't make it, and now this is his third or fourth season be on the bench, and they're flat. They're done,
floundering again.
Yeah.
Yep. Agree. Terrible.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10:17. Do you know where your children
are? We really
are?
need like a change the audio saying it's after 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Or we just need a producer that could remind us that it's 10 p.m.
Or just one of us set an alarm I should just
I need to set an alarm.
I need to.
You know what? I can do it on my watch so it doesn't make noise. So I'm going to do that. I will set the alarm. So one more comment about Jake Neighbors I wanted, since he wanted to talk about after his second goal. In the past 30 years, only 4 Blues players have scored as many goals in a season as Neighbors at age 21 or younger. Jaden Schwartz had 25 in 2013-14. Patrick Berglund, everyone's favorite, 21 in 2008-2009. David Perron, aforementioned, 20 goals in 2019-10. And then Robbie Fabry had 18 in 2015-16. So Neighbors right now is sitting at, what do we say, 17? Is that right?
Goals?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we've got lots of season left. So there's a good chance that at age 21 or younger, the benchmark is Jaden Schwartz with 25. We'll see. I mean, he's got a chance to surpass that.
Hofer just out 33 or 34 shots in this game, so he played quite well. St. Louis was 1 for 2 on the power play. Buffalo was 0 for 3. So St. Louis's power play continues to do good things. Have been crazy. They flashed the stats up. I don't have them in front of me. The Blues under Bannister versus under Berube. As far as the power play goes, it was like 8% under Berube, and it's been like 28 or 30.
I think it's 27.8, but I could be wrong on that.
Under Bannister, which, I mean, you talk about, it's tripled, right? It's over tripled. So fantastic.
Just read it later.
Don't worry about it, Kirk. Read it later.
Breaking news. I'll read later.
Yeah.
So this, I guess this, we can take a break now.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We can go look for our kids.
We are, yeah.
Good idea.
We don't know where they are. On the other, we're due for a break. So on the other side of this break, we'll talk about the Blues against the Canadiens, which there's a lot to talk about in this game, and it's not all the goals. So, and then we'll also talk about the Toronto game, among other things. You're listening to Kurt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio.
We'll return after these messages.
We've all tried a diet or workout fad at one time or another, but it always ends the same, right? We either lose the weight and then get back to our routine, but then put the weight right back on, or it just simply never takes hold. It's time to move into a habit-based program that focuses on organization and simplicity. Rockin' That Ideal Life's Lean 30 lays it all out for you with the correct food to eat, how to meal prep, and even sprinkles in plenty of healthy recipes. With Lean 30, you'll get the full ID Life arsenal, including energy for that needed kick, a tasty Nourish shake for your needed fiber intake, Slim Plus to help control your cravings and provide a metabolic boost, Lean capsules help bust those sugar cravings, and ID Nutrition gives you the added punch you need that takes the guesswork out of what supplements to take. Join the many who are seeing success and make this your last first day on a new program. Visit rockandthatideallife.com to get started, and remember to email Dustin at rockandthatideallife@gmail.com for an extra 10% off exclusively for Let's Go Blues radio listeners. Start your transformation to the confident, vibrant person you've always wanted to be with rockandthatideallife.com.
St. Louis hockey fans know how it takes a reliable captain and a team of hard workers to achieve major goals. As a police officer and a hockey player, Realtor Mike Burgoyne would wear the C in any situation. As a leader in the home buying or selling process, Mike has surrounded himself with a team of trustworthy inspectors, lenders, and escrow officers that work together more cohesively than Hall & Oates. And as a member of many teams in his life, Mike knows the service our first responders, veterans, nurses, teachers, and yes, even you Let's Go Blues radio listeners provide the community, so he offers special rates to those individuals. Find the value in Mike's leadership and teamwork today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or calling 314-753-4060. He'll work closely with you and only show you the homes that match your goals. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com or call him at 314-753-4060 and succeed with your new teammate today.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
After the Blues and Sabres game was over on Saturday, the Blues played the following day, Sunday afternoon, and beat the Canadiens 7-2, which was, second half and back-to-back. You never know quite what to expect. Bennington was in net for this game, obviously.
There was a period in this during the Super Bowl. I thought, man, the Blues might have more touchdowns than the Chiefs.
There was that's what the Blues social media account tweeted that though at halftime, right?
Yeah, at halftime, we are the only Missouri team to have scored a touchdown today.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
beautiful,
it's funny. Toropchenko got the Blues started 25 seconds into the game with a sick goal. You see players try this sometimes, and usually it's shut down, but he did the old walk a defenseman wide, puck between the legs from back to front, and then walk him wide, then cut in front and tucks it around Allen and far post. As Allen, we have a goalie analyst here, but I'm just going to say that he looked ridiculous on this play, diving out trying to poke check, which not the best move, I guess, but whatever.
Yeah, terrible form all around. Gave up half the net with whatever he was trying to do there.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I
didn't catch it really when it happened. I was more watching Toropchenko and how when the puck went in on the replay, I saw that he went for a poke check. He was diving. What is he doing?
Yeah.
How
many times did we say that when he was in a Blues jersey?
I mean, he just put himself.
What is he doing?
It's I'm not going to let Ponder mow my lawn on this one. Vintage February Jake Allen.
Yeah. This we saw plenty of that January, February with him here. So
he forgets how to hockey.
Fantastic goal, though. I mean, Jake Allen's gaff takes nothing away from Toropchenko's efforts here. But this was amazing, and Toropchenko has turned into quite the goal scorer lately.
Yeah, I mean they. 37. All right, sorry. Quick tangent. 37, for those who don't know, is my goalie on our H&A team, and Bill, you will love hearing about the poke check that our goalie made. It was a beautiful poke check. It was just one of those instances where
Was it a Rudy
he
poke
made
check?
the poke check. It was not a Rudy poke check.
Very nice.
No,
very
so
nice.
the guy was coming in from the wing, cut to the middle, was coming in front, and our goalie laid out, threw his stick out there, total, I don't know, Marty Brodeur style, like great poke check, but the puck hit off his stick, just arched and went over our goalie, and then just arched right into the net. And it was like, he was mad, and I skated up to him, and I was like, dude, that was a great fucking poke check. Don't be mad at yourself. That's going to happen one time out of 100.
Right. And I know the whole time he's been thinking, could I have gotten my back skate up to stop it from going in? Right.
Oh,
That's what runs through our minds. And that's all the pros are the ones that are able to do that now, right? It's just, yeah, I've had a few of those in my day. You make the poke check and it goes off of, you're trying to put it to the corner and it hits your defenseman's skate and goes in, or like you said, pops up and just goes straight over.
It's always the goalies who do everything right, but the defensemen fuck it up, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I have never had a good defenseman in front of me in my life.
Oh, well, you never played with me.
Good.
No,
I know.
I'm terrible, right? 37
played in front of you.
That was again. I mean, you got to have the reach to be able to pull off a move like Toropchenko did, and just he uses that big frame so well, and I think that's why Berube loved him so much when he first came up, and was like, I think Armstrong, when they had that injury to start the year, he was even like, he's a rookie, but we're going to miss him. And it's just because he's got that great reach. He's got great hockey sense. You see the way he plays sometimes, and he's in one of those stretches now where it's like, if this guy could just find out more offensive instincts just a little bit more, he'd be a 20-goal scorer. It's just, his hands are a little slower. He doesn't have the foot speed, but man, when he pulls off moves like this, it's fucking beautiful. He scored a great goal that we were in attendance for, the Vancouver game last year.
Yeah.
Kind of similar. He made a poke check, came in on the wing and cut to the middle and made a great shot on whoever was in net for Vancouver. It might have been Demko. And remember all of us just marveling like, oh my God, that was fucking sick. And same thing here.
Yeah, no, he's coming out of the All-Star break. He has been sensational. Not sensational, but sensational. He had that very similar move in the Buffalo game early on and just missed by about 2 inches, going upper blocker on Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And that's he walked Jaden Struble on that move to begin the Montreal game.
I hadn't even sat down.
Phenomenal, right?
I was moving. When I hunker down to watch the game, I will slide a big chair from the corner of the room in front of the big TV, so I can just plop right down and just have the big TV in front of me pretty close. And I was moving the chair at the time this goal was scored. I was watching it. I saw it. But I was like, damn, I haven't sat down yet.
Right. I was watching a DVR. It had the same experience. Like, I think I was letting the dogs out. I'm like, I'll just settle in a minute. And,
Right.
like, holy shit, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I noticed when because same as you, Bill, I watched it the next morning while I was working. Hopefully nobody from work's listening. But yeah, but luckily I knew that he scored very early. I didn't know exactly when, but I knew he was like in the first minute. So I turned the game on. I'm sitting here at work. I turn the game on and I go to start typing something. I'm like, wait a minute. I got to watch the full first minute, because I know he scores. So I just kind of sat back and was like, all right, let's see it, Torpo. And 25 seconds. I'm like, damn, that is a quick strike.
Blues were up 2-0 when Sammy Blais was given a boarding major, 5-minute major, and a game misconduct, and they reviewed it and they upheld it. I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on this. I thought this was a bad call. I thought that, maybe, okay. So for those that didn't see it or whatever, Jordan Harris is coming behind the net, and Blais comes in on the forecheck and goes to check him like anybody would. And Harris toe picks or something on the boards and goes down and kind of turns towards the boards. And this is right before Blais checks him. And Blais ends up basically checking his head against the boards, like where Blais' hip is. And obviously he had a concussion. He couldn't stand up. He was wobbly. And they gave him a penalty. They gave Blais a penalty, 5 minutes in a game misconduct. They reviewed it and upheld it, and they kicked him out. I didn't know what Blais was supposed to do here, because if Harris doesn't stumble and fall, this should be a clean check. I assume it's gonna be a clean check. Both two guys standing up. But the only reason this was an issue is because Harris fell, and it fell right before Blais delivered the check. So I don't know. I mean, am I looking through this with rose-colored glasses or what?
That's the argument from Canadiens fans that I saw, was that he did have time to pull up and not make the check.
I
strongly disagree.
I paused it.
I think
when he was going down.
Yeah, if you watch
Blais
it,
was already
he's
halfway between the goal and the board.
He's already in the motion to make the check by the time he falls. And I really believe that if he would have had another second, I don't think he falls through that hit. I think he bails.
He's like 3 feet from Harris when Harris fell.
Right. And he's what, 6'4", 240?
Yeah.
That is a lot of velocity to stop that quickly.
You can hurt yourself.
It wasn't right. Right. It's either he's gonna get hurt or the other guy's gonna get hurt. He didn't have time to process that.
No,
let alone to turn your skate blades and try to make a stop.
You're asking an awful lot of a player to stop when a player falls. Stop within 3 feet when you're coming in for a check on the forecheck. Stop within 3 feet, and to recognize that and stop that quickly. I think that was. I don't know. I would have loved to have heard the conversation. It's a shame you can't interview officials after the games, because this would have been a good one. But it is what it is. It didn't affect the Blues in this game. They rolled over the Canadiens 7-2, but still at the time, it was 2-0. So it wasn't,
not a good call. Again, I didn't see it live. First thing I saw about it was from Andy Strickland, friend of the show, posted, and like, this is a terrible call. And he posted a clip of the video, and I'm like, man, I hate to, and I felt the same way as you, Kurt. I'm like, Andy, probably does, because he knows a lot of the Blues players mostly. And I'm like, maybe he's got the rose-colored glasses on. I'm like, maybe I have the rose-colored glasses on. But to hear it from you guys, I feel better about my decision, because, I looked at that and I'm like, that's just unfortunate. I'll say I was happy that they gave him initially the 5 minutes.
Watch it.
Because that way they could review it and be like, okay, it's only 2 minutes or whatever. But when they upheld it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Did you watch the same replay I did?
I just don't understand what they expected Blais to do. And I know you said, Jeff, that Canadiens fans thought he had time to stop. I don't know how that's possible. I mean,
no.
Yeah.
But
that's, like you said, that's the one that's you want to hear the officials explain their rationale. I have to believe that it was just kind of the aftermath and seeing that it was a clear brain injury, right? He was not, like, his face looked contorted when he tried to take a step and he went down. I mean, just it's a terrible look. But I'm with you fellers. Bad call.
Yeah, I think I think the NHL will agree as well, because you see that he didn't even get a fine on the play. Like, injury on the play, like, it had all the makings of the NHL to make further action. Injury on the play, game misconduct, all of it was there for the NHL to say at least a fine. Yep. They, for as far as I know, didn't even really review it. So, they didn't announce anything. We're reviewing the play with Sammy Blais, nothing like that. So I think the NHL overall agrees.
It's weird though, because the NHL reviewed it, right? They looked it over, or the officials did, right. And they looked at it again, and it's like, so it's almost like the officials in the game. So did the officials review this, or is that Toronto? when they review that.
I believe they all do, but the officials have the final call on the ice.
If they all do, why would they have the final call? That seems weird to me.
Toronto might say, go ahead and give them the 5 so you can review it. But that it's the in-building officials that are going to make the call.
Okay. Well,
I think Toronto's just there for assistance.
They're just on.
We're going to show you this replay so you can make the best decision.
Well, that just shows that they're on different pages then. If they're not going to even fine Blais for this hit, but the officials on the ice decided after review that it warranted a 5-minute major and a game misconduct. If after a review, if you kick somebody out, and give them 5 minutes and a game misconduct after review, that should pretty much mean you're getting at least a fine because you did something pretty bad. But
Ken Morris in the chat says Blais has no history of dirty play or hits, at least as far as I recall.
Well, don't tell Boston.
Some people probably argue with you on the hits. Yeah. Not just Boston. I've seen other teams complain about Blais' play, but overall, yeah, he's got a clean slate as far as I know. Never been fined, never been suspended.
Backus never had
could be wrong on that.
Backus for the longest time never had the same thing, right? He had never had a fine or suspension. Was that right? So
yeah, but was looked at as a very dirty player.
Yeah, because he was a big guy, threw his weight around.
Right.
Yep.
So, and I guess
Blais, I think because you can make I don't know the NHL the wheel of justice, right? Because you look at we'll talk about the Morgan Riley situation later. I don't believe he's had any history, yet he got 5 games for what he did. So the fact that they say we take that into account with these plays, I don't know if they really do.
Yeah, it's situation by situation, but
I think so.
To take Ken's thought, Blais has no history of dirty play or hits. And there's a little side conversation with us that kind of this season, Blais has no history of plays at all.
Yeah, he's
been a rough year.
He's been a very interesting player with his inability to put the puck in the net at all with the Rangers, being semi-productive with us before that, and then coming back here and just lighting it up. And then this season, not so much. It's really strange.
1 goal,
up and down,
right?
Yeah, 1 goal, up and down.
Yeah,
I think he has 1 goal this year.
I really think that long-term Toropchenko is going to take his spot on this roster.
Oh yeah.
I don't hate Blais on this team as long as you don't expect him to produce offensively with any type of regularity.
Right. If he fills the Pat Maroon role,
sure,
as the 4th line, big body that chips in at key moments, great.
Who has more offensive skill than Maroon does?
Right.
If and it can rear its ugly head every now and then, or her fancy head, I guess.
37 says Blais got suspended 2 games in 2021 against the Avs. I believe he hit Taves. Why don't I remember that? I believe Dave, he's a excellent hockey fan, but I do not remember that.
How many years does it before previous suspensions no longer count against you in hearings? Is it 2 or 3?
I think it's 3.
Is it? Because I mean, saying you don't have a history just means like a recent history because it's wiped clean after so many years. So during this 5-minute power play, and this was really interesting to me because I've never really seen this before. Have you guys seen this before? Where the Blues, so when someone gets a 5-minute power play, 5-minute penalty in a game misconduct, that player is kicked out of the game. So that player obviously cannot be in the box to serve that penalty. So the team that got the penalty has the option to not put somebody in the box right away. They don't have to at all, actually, but it's in their best interest to eventually, at some point, get a guy in the box because you want them to then come out of the box when the penalty is over. If there's no one in the box when the penalty is over, they can't bring that person from the bench on the ice. They have to be coming out of the box, penalty box. So the Blues didn't put somebody in the box to start this penalty, and there were no stoppages. And and the Canadiens scored like 5 seconds after the power play was over for them, and nobody came out of the Blues penalty box because there was nobody in there. So I had never seen this before. I don't understand. I mean, I understand the idea behind it. Okay, we want all these players available to use during the penalty kill. I get it. However, there are a few players on this team that are not going to kill penalties. So, Walker's one, Kairu's one. They weren't on the ice for any of this penalty. And would this have made a difference in the goal? I don't know. Maybe not. It's questionable. 5 seconds is it's like on the border between a guy getting back on the play or not. But so go ahead.
Yeah, just let me say, and first of all, I apologize because I semi-corrected you on Twitter and I was wrong.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
Can you repeat that again?
Shut up. It baffles me that that's a real thing that a coach would do, which is why I was like, there's no way. I really thought it was, because if you watch the Sammy Blais, and then they come over to Bannister and explain it to him, he's pretty heated. He didn't like the call either. He clearly agrees with what we thought. So I thought, okay, he just forgot to put a player in the box. I'm like, clearly that's what it was. We have seen that happen before in previous, long time ago. I don't remember if it was the Blues or not, but I remember watching a game and that happened. And there was like a minute where the other team was extra shorthanded because they forgot to put a player in the box. And so I thought that had to be it. He just had to forget. He was heated about the penalty, forgot to send someone over. Assistant coaches weren't paying attention. Then Bannister said after the game or the next morning that it was a strategy. He wanted to have everyone available until the end of the penalty. That is fucking crazy to me.
Right.
That is bananas crazy. I can't think of another coaching decision I find more dumb.
Well,
I think that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, to me, it shouldn't be allowed, right? You should be required to put somebody in the box right away.
Well,
right? You shouldn't be allowed to have a guy go out and kill a penalty and then finish that penalty kill sitting in the box.
But the guy that got the reason being is because the guy who got the penalty was kicked out.
Right.
So
the league should require somebody to be in the box right away.
I agree.
And I'll
tell you how my men's league works. We get a guy kicked out of a game, and maybe he gets a 10-minute misconduct. If he's kicked out of the game, we have to send somebody over to serve that 10 minutes. Like the league won't let us continue play until somebody's in the box. And it's just, why does the NHL not have that rule? That's so fucking weird.
Here's what's messed up to me is that, okay, so let's say, okay, I understand the idea of wanting to, okay, well, I don't want to put a player in the box right away. I want to be able to use that guy for a couple, if I want to over the first half of this penalty, for example. But then the second half, you want to get him in there as soon as a stoppage happens, because you don't want to be without a guy in the box, because then you can't bring them out when it's over. But the thing is that there were a few guys on the team on the bench that didn't touch the ice during the penalty kill. So you have these guys to use. So you didn't put anybody in the box because you wanted to use them or have the option to use them, but you didn't use them. So I don't understand, what scenario is going to present itself to where you would use them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm completely with you, because it's just, to me, it's like you're taking away one. Okay, so yeah, I get you had one forward just taken off the ice for the game because he was kicked out of the game, but you're telling me that you're going to use all of your other 11 forwards in a 5-minute penalty? It's not a 20-minute. You're not getting.
Yeah.
We got to kill a penalty for the whole period. Okay, yeah, I get that then. End of the period, let's throw someone in the box. But it's 5 minutes. You're not going to go cycle through 11 forwards in a 5-minute span on the PK.
Guys like Nathan Walker, they don't kill penalties. I could maybe understand it if you had lost a couple of guys already. You lost we already had guys in the box for a brawl. There were 2 or 3 guys in the box already, had an injury, so we're shorthanded already. I can understand saying, okay, well, you know what, we need to use this guy for the first half of this penalty, so we're not going to put him in the box. I would understand that if you're already a few guys down. That makes more sense to me. But you're not.
Do you remember the flu game the Blues played? God, it was probably 6-7 years ago now, where they played the Red Wings and they can only dress like 15 players because everyone had the flu.
Yeah.
And it's like a game like that, I would understand, because it's like we have got to be able to cycle through everybody in this.
You're
PK
already down players, right?
There are gas. Some of these guys might even have the flu and just don't know it. I get that. But in a game like this, it makes no fucking sense. Put somebody in the box.
Well, how many times does that scenario present itself where you're already shorthanded and then you get a guy thrown out? So then you use the strategy to not put a guy in the box. How often does that happen? That
never.
Not that often. And how often in those scenarios do you absolutely need to use every single person on your bench during a penalty and risk not being able to bring somebody out of the box when the penalty is actually over? That seems like a very high risk, very low reward scenario that Bannister kind of created there.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 players that didn't get. I don't know if they were the only ones or not. I know you looked at.
I didn't look at all the numbers, but I looked at 2 players right away. That was like, Kyrou and
Walker and Kyrou.
Walker, they didn't. No.
So I actually 100% understand not wanting to put Kyrou there, because if the Canadiens get a penalty, then you've got 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. You'll want to play Kyrou. I get that. Nathan Walker? In what situation are you using Nathan Walker on a PK, a 4-on-3, a 5-on-4, whatever it is?
I have a question.
You're not using Nathan Walker. Put him in the fucking box.
I have a question. This is a bit of a gamble too, but if you absolutely have to use all of your skaters, which Bannister didn't, but say he wanted to, could you put your backup goalie in the box?
No.
Why not?
You got to have a goalie available.
Well, he is available. He's just in the box.
But if your goalie gets hurt,
then use the e-bug.
Starting goalie,
then
you can't take him out of the box and put him. But you can,
but you can always use a goal. You can always use it. Your goalie doesn't have to be on the roster.
There has to be a specific rule in the rule book that says goalies cannot serve the extra man penalty.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. It has to be specifically worded because
then
anybody can play goal.
What about if he's coming out of the crease or coming out of the penalty box? You're gonna have 2 goalies on the floor. You can't do that.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
I don't
true.
think that would work.
That's a good point.
It's a good idea, but I don't.
No, I was just thinking like, well, put Hofer in there, and then you could have but then you run the risk if Binnington gets hurt, then Hofer's in the box, and you gotta go get your e-bug or whatever. So,
well, I don't even think they'd let you go. Well, I guess if Binnington's hurt, you could.
Right.
But yeah, you can't have 3 goalies dressed. So no, anyway, it's a good
Speaking
idea.
Of e-bugs, I think we're getting close to needing an e-bug story because it's been since October since we've had one.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. No, I'll just close on this. My thoughts on this. To me, this was one of the most it probably is the most boneheaded thing I've heard a coach do at least for the Blues. I don't know. The only other thing that comes to mind is Tortorella charging the Jets locker room that one time.
What about what's his face? Go have another donut. Right? Schoenfeld going after Koharski, right? Yeah, Koharski.
Or how about Schoenfeld guaranteeing a Game 7 victory?
Oh yeah, and they didn't get it. Yeah, yep. Too bad. So sad.
Yep. No, I don't get this, and it did make me kind of question Bannister a little bit. I'm like, what? Because like I said, at first I'm like, okay, it had to be a mistake. That's the only explanation. No. We did this as that was kind of a plan. What?
I bet you he never does that again.
Yeah,
better not.
I doubt he does again, but I think we'd all feel a lot better if he would have said, well, Jake Allen was at the other end, so I was okay.
Well, it would have been really funny, too, to see the Blues if they would have, with 4 skaters. Well, that's an interesting thing, too. With 4 skaters, and it's not a PK, because they didn't have someone in the box, and they iced the puck, because I did read that they could have still iced it. Do the Blues then get to add a 5th player, or do they have to keep the 4 players out there?
They can't after the penalty's over?
They ice the puck, and so you can't make a change on an ice.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
is a
so
good
can
question.
you add a fifth player, or do you have to stick with 4 and get another type of stoppage?
But well,
Maybe
a guy can come out of the box. A guy can come out of the box
but there's nobody in the box.
right.
That-
You're not making a change though. You're not. Okay, I'm gonna say this is what the rule probably is that nobody on the ice can sub off. That might be what it comes down to. You can add that player from the bench, maybe, but nobody on the ice can be subbed out and switched off. That's what I'm gonna guess is the scenario.
Maybe. But I think it could also be that you can't just add a player because you didn't have someone sitting in the box.
That's a great question.
Oof.
I
we need to find a rules analyst.
I think we should this could be a great summer series segment, right? If we could get an official NHL rules analyst and
the
come
Scout
up
and the
with,
refs Twitter feed guy, the website guys.
yeah,
Scout and the refs, those are great guys.
Yeah, do that. It just come up with questions to stump them.
I would say get
Yeah,
Tim Peel,
good
but
one.
nobody wants that.
No, we're good.
Local boy Tim Peel.
Yeah, Jamie Rivers doesn't do podcasts anymore.
Yep.
No, he.
Well, I don't know. I guess are we done with?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've said our
crazy Bannister.
We've counted to 3.
That one, man, that one really did make me question him a lot.
3.
Yeah. So, So Thomas 4 points in this game. Torrey Krug a historic game. My bad. Sorry. Sorry everyone, all you English majors out there. Career high 5 assists in this game. Single game records for both assists and points by defensemen in Blues history. Krug became one of 6 Blues in history with 5 assists in a game. The list here is definitely elite. You'll see what I did there in a minute. Joining Robert Thomas, Dallas Drake, Adam Oates, Bernie Federko, and Brian
One
Sutter.
of these things is doing his own. Come on, can you tell which one? Dallas Drake.
But still, that is. I mean, that's pretty good. We'll talk about Krug's game against Toronto. I did not like it, but this game, 5 assists. For all of you saying he's not we don't pay him to play defense, we pay him to play offense. He fucking did that in this game.
Did you hear the criticism of his 5 assists? That they were all secondary?
Oh my God. That's what a defenseman does.
They were like, yeah,
Jesus.
it'd be more impressive if it weren't all secondary assists.
There was a season in my H&A league where I led, I think I was second in points, but I led the team in assists by far. And all my teammates were like, well, it's because you get the secondary assist. I'm like, yeah, I started the play, assholes. Like that's a good thing. You want me doing that.
You can't have the primary without having the secondary.
Was in Neighbor's goal, the one that was went up in the air and bounced down. I thought that they could have ruled that at that point that 2 Blues had touched it after Krug had released a shot from the point, but he still got credit for it. So
Arizona has scored. It is now 2-1 Minnesota with 11 minutes to go in the third.
Yep. Well, anyway, nice offensive output by the Blues here, but my God, Jake Allen was awful.
Oh my God,
in this game.
That Robert Thomas goal.
Woof.
Nobody screening, nothing. It just went through him.
Yeah.
I mean, watching this game though, I mean, this is shit we've all seen before. Right? Mm-hmm. With him, it's like, I mean, this is just the kind of game he turns in a little too often.
Jake Allen is going to wind up becoming the greatest goalie coach in the league someday.
Because
don't do what I do,
mimic
kids.
Other goalies.
Well, it's right. No, I think he has the ability to see what needs to be done from the outside looking in, but not from the inside looking out.
So Jake Allen has, of the 3 Montreal goalies who have tended net this season for Montreal, he has the worst.
Primo and Sam Montembeau being the other 2.
Allen has the worst numbers of the 3, and he has 1 year left at $3.8 million. And I guarantee you, there are a number of Blues fans who would love to have him back here. For some reason, he has his fan base here.
If you were to post the Blues traded straight up Jordan Bennington for Jake Allen.
Oh,
There's a large portion of this fan base that would be fucking celebrating in the streets.
Isn't that weird?
And that is just mind-boggling to me.
So, okay, Allen's overall numbers with St. Louis are not bad. They're so him versus Binnington. Okay, for example, both with the Blues for 7 seasons. Allen has 29 more games played right now. But believe it or not, Jake Allen has a better save percentage, goals against average, more shutouts, and more quality starts than Binnington. In fact, almost every measurable stat shows Allen as being superior on paper. Not only superior, but easily. Like, it's not close. So what do you guys make of this? Because I think, personally, having watched Allen play and having watched Binnington play, the 7 years each, it's like Binnington is the better goalie. He's the better goalie for us. He's played better in a Blues uniform than as a whole. Allen had a couple of great seasons here. He had a great playoff run. Well, against Minnesota, one round, I guess, against Minnesota. But it's interesting to me that Allen's numbers are much better than Binnington's. But I think Binnington has been the better goalie in a Blues uniform.
Let's also factor in, and Bill, I know you're not a big Hitchcock fan.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
Systems.
Yep. Hitchcock had the system of defense, and it was defense first. They didn't allow a ton of shots against, and when they did, they were from the outside. They clogged up the middle a ton, and just shots, good quality chances did not get through. And Allen was here, 6 of his 7 seasons here were with Hitchcock as his head coach. So it's a system thing. And then, the Blues have had historically one of the worst defensive coaches who somehow is still working in the NHL in Mike Van Ryn. Binnington had that for a couple of years. And the fact that he and Husso and Hofer, well, I guess not Hofer, but he and Husso mostly, and then the awful Thomas Greiss had to play under that system, that is going to inflate numbers dramatically. And that's what's happened to Binnington here. Look at his numbers now. His numbers this season have been pretty good.
I mean, and this kind of reflects back on what we've said time and time again, as far as, advanced stats and just looking at the box scores, just looking at the numbers and not watching the goalies play. Right. I mean, it's to me, it's obvious. I think Binnington is the better goalie in the Blues uniform than Allen was, but the numbers don't show that necessarily. So I think, it's a pretty good example as far as hey, you got to watch these guys play. Just don't look at these numbers on paper to determine who's better. Because I think, because Allen was he's only a handful, a few games away from the all-time wins lead for behind Liut. He was 5 or 6 wins behind Liut. Something like that in wins.
He's close.
Yeah. He was here for 7 years. But yeah.
Which is a lot. That is that's like 3 eons
for the Blues.
For Blues goalies. Yeah.
Ken Moore says Jake was flaky at times, but could be brilliant on occasion. Yeah. And that's the problem, though, is that he was so inconsistent. He was up and down, And it was made you want to pull your hair out, because it's you just played really well and now you're playing really shitty. What's going on?
Yep. Well, and that was the thing too, was he would start the season October, November even, and would be lights out. Oh my God, Jake Allen's the real fucking deal. But then by end of December, and as Bill has said in the show many times, January into February, I mean, it's you might as well just dress 6 skaters at all times. Just 6 skaters on the ice, because they're going to make as many saves as Allen, And it's but then March-ish, end of February-ish, he'd be lights out again. But then come playoff time, except for that one fucking series that Blues fans love to remember for some reason, when he played so well against Minnesota.
Magnus PRV,
outside
baby.
of that one, outside of that one series, he'd fall apart again in the stretch run and then in the playoffs. And I think Binnington has shown he's the opposite. He has his roughest games when they don't seem to really matter. Like a Tuesday in Columbus. he's not going to play his best game. But those are the games that Jake Allen would shine in.
How many goals this season on Binnington would you say were like, oh my God, that's embarrassing to have that go in on you?
Well, he had one on.
Well,
I think he had one last night.
Everybody had. He did it last night.
Oh yeah, that bad angle. The second.
Oh,
McMahon
no.
I didn't like that.
We
goal.
will debate that, sir.
Okay,
when
we'll say
Good.
that.
We'll get to that.
Good. But anyway, but my point is that was a frequent occurrence with Jake Allen. He would have. I mean, it was every few games. You're like, oh my God, that's a terrible goal to allow, and sometimes multiple in a game. You know, it was just bad.
And this game against the Blues, right? Like, I found myself pulling the letter Kenny Coach quote out. Fucking embarrassing.
Fucking embarrassing.
Right?
Yeah.
That the last goal, Kyrou shot from the slot, bounces off the end boards, and he gets his skate on the outside of the post, and it goes in.
Yeah.
Right. That's
a goal that goes that for some reason that reminds me of like a Vincent Riendo goal in the playoffs. It was like a backbreaker against the Blues.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the Blues went 3 for 5 on the power play in this game and killed all 3 penalties against. Power play was humming.
Is that the first game they've had 3 power play goals in?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, the power play's been
Impressive.
Great. Been fantastic.
Right. Since Bannister took over.
Yep.
They're at a 33% pace.
It's
So I guess that begs the question: is it Bannister or is it the help from Brad Richards?
They also got Brad Richards.
That's right.
Combination. Mostly Richards, probably. Maybe he's a consultant. You know, he's a remote consultant. So I don't know. He doesn't talk with the players.
I would love to be a fly on the wall for one of his conversations with Steve Ott. You know, like, I think you need to do this, this, and this. They're not just being like, I didn't know we could do that. You know, like I want to hear what those conversations are like, because it's got to be odd. Yeah.
Right. Wait, I never got to play on the power play in my career. I never thought of that.
Yeah, right. 37 gives some love to Bill here. By the way, I love that there's a goalie on the podcast. Billy Blue Note is the voice of the voiceless. I'm going to give you comment of the show there, 37. Yeah. I like that. And stay tuned. We've got Bill Day's Save of the Week coming up, where he breaks down a goalie save.
Goalies are voiceless? They do a pretty good job at throwing water bottles, though.
Oh, they are loud as shit. Most of them. Man, I had a guy, actually the guy that I went to the Blues, whatever they called that, the Enterprise Game 7 2019 party with. I went with him. He's a former goalie. That dude would get so high pitched when he would get mad about somebody being in his crease or, Ponder, cover this guy. And it's just like,
look up here,
calm the fuck down, dude. Like, Jesus.
I just watched the Amigos, so
yeah, there were a few goalie camps that pre-game, pre-ice, you had to do the go through the pitch like a voice coach until you got to that, squeezing your balls octave.
High octave.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, a good game for the Blues, a bad game for Montreal and Jake Allen. Nice win. Coming off the Buffalo win. 2 nice wins out of the break, especially following up that Columbus game.
And Blues win 7 of 8.
Yeah, 7 of 8.
At this point.
And they're rolling, playing pretty good hockey, getting points.
And I'll say, I mean, how many times early in the season did I say, yeah, this 3-game segment, we got the points I expected, just not in the way that I expected it. Out of these 3 games that we're about to talk about, the Toronto game, this is exactly how I thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you got to get the 2 wins against Buffalo and Montreal. And if you get the win or even an overtime point against Toronto, that's just cake.
So we got the Blues versus the Maple Leafs that happened on Tuesday. Maple Leafs won this one 4-1. McCann got
no. You said that wrong. The Marlies.
The
won
Marlies.
4-1.
Sorry. The Marlies
Sorry.
beat the Blues 4-1. McCann got the hat trick for the Marlies in this game. Coming in, he had only had 2 goals in 36 career games, gets 3 in this one. He was expected to be a healthy scratch in this game, but was told to be playing around 4 p.m. when it was announced that Tavares and Marner were ruled out due to illness. And then Riley is gone because of the cross-check on Greg, which we'll talk about after this, which was I'm sure it'll be an interesting conversation, maybe. So I thought Toronto played pretty well, actually, considering who was in the lineup. They talked about it on the broadcast, and I was wondering if this was going to happen, and it kind of did, I guess, where, young players get in the lineup and they want to prove themselves to the coach. They're stepping in for really good players that are out, so they want to prove themselves, and they're working their asses off, and they played well, I thought. And combine that with the Blues not having their best effort. Personally, I thought which has been a problem all season, passing up good scoring chances to pass into traffic and then get nothing out of it. They did that a lot this game. Kyrou in particular.
Well, hang on. Before we move on to that, I just want to add that we have seen this with the Blues on the opposite end. I'm reminded of the COVID year again, where it was like, oh, this guy tested positive. He's got to sit for 14 days, whatever the fuck it was. And we're not going to give you cap relief.
Yeah.
So the Blues would just try to call up guys and we might have to play 16 tonight, guys, but we'll see how it goes. And they went on this crazy winning streak. They won like 4 games when they were dressing less than 18. Yep. Nathan Walker was one of the first guys called up and scored a couple big goals, I think, against Detroit. And we were just like, who the fuck are these guys? I think that was when we saw Charlie Lindgren too. And it was just like, these guys are not NHL guys, but they're working their asses off. And you said it, Kurt, they said it in the broadcast. This is kind of a fear you have. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Bobby McMahon. Who the fuck is Bobby McMahon? And he's scoring a fucking hat trick? Like, what the hell?
Right. I mean, if you listen to the Toronto broadcast of the game, they rattled off all the teams that McMahon's played for over the last 6 years, and it's like, holy shit! Somewhere in I don't know if it was Tulsa or somewhere in Oklahoma, and fights his way to the Marlies and gets the call up for this game because of the illnesses, and best game of his career right there.
All right, you ready for Bobby McMahon's hockey career?
Yeah.
So we've got the oh my god, the Lloydminster Bobcats, Bonnieville Pontiacs, Colgate University, Wichita Thunder, Toronto Marlies, Newfoundland.
Edit that part out.
Sorry. Yeah, the part where we just
lost all our Canadian audience.
Through, and you're just like, shit.
Ken has dropped us.
That's not how you say that. Yeah, sorry, Ken. Newfoundland Growlers, Toronto Marlies again, Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Marlies, Toronto Maple Leafs. So yeah, he has been all over. He's a well-traveled individual.
Yeah, so yeah, Wichita. It was. That's a great Joe McGrath quote, right?
Oh man, you want to know where he's from? Interesting.
No, I was coaching
Wainwright, Alberta, spelled the exact same way as St. Louis legend Adam Wainwright.
I brought up Jordan Kyrou as one of the guys in this game who passed up a glorious scoring chance. He had a lane to the net, would have had a complete. I mean, the defenseman was taking the pass, which I guess they did their homework as far as what Kyrou does, and Kyrou passes back into traffic to the trailer coming in when he had a 2-on-1 and a lane to the net.
Yeah,
and he passes back in the traffic.
To force it to Neighbors.
Yeah, and gets nothing out of it. Yeah, I mean, I get wanting to go to Neighbors, but not there.
He should be leading the league in shots.
He has a lot of shots. We talked about this, but man, he should have so many more. He just passes up so many; it's absurd. And this was one of the worst ones to pass up because he had a full lane to the net. Shoot the fucking puck. Shoot the fucking puck. Shoot.
That was when it was 1-0 Toronto at that point too, right?
Might have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's like, dude, you're the guy. Like, and That's what I just want. I don't know, Brett Hull to just go up to him and be like, "You're me, buddy. You need to shoot the goddamn puck. That's what you are paid for. That's what your teammates need from you. Shoot the goddamn puck." Like, I don't know what it's going to take for him to do it, because they have to be telling him that.
He's
right?
not a playmaker.
Like,
he
No.
tries to make plays. People make plays to you. You shoot. You get in a spot on the ice where you can get it on net. You fucking put the damn thing on net. And I don't want to be one of those fans that just says shoot, shoot, shoot. But motherfuck,
with him, it's okay to be that fan. Because he's out there with two passers. I mean, Buchnevich is a guy that can score goals too, and obviously Thomas.
Yeah, I wish Buchnevich would shoot more too. Honestly,
you are out there with two guys that like to make the play. You need to be the fucking finisher.
Buchnevich and Cairo, two guys to get on my skin. They need to shoot more.
Yeah,
they just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and 2 games ago, the pass off pad was the perfect play. Why doesn't it work here?
I don't know. Asking a rational question to an irrational situation. I don't know.
You're asking a rational question to an irrational situation to two very irrational guys.
Not capitalizing on the 2 power plays the Blues had was rough. They needed the power play to come through in this game, and it couldn't this time. But and they lost this game. It's not like they had won 7 out of 8 coming in. You're not going to win them all. You're playing in Toronto. Yeah, they're shorthanded. So what? I mean, you can't win them all. Whatever, fine. Said it before. It's how you rebound. Blah blah blah. Kessel got his first point of his career with a secondary assist on Tropchenko's goal. It was his 19th game. So go ahead.
You know what's I think is funny about that is I thought this was his worst game as an NHLer. I thought he was bad. Him and Krug, I thought, were terrible in this game. A couple of the chances that Binnington had to face were because of gaffes from Kessel and Krug. The first breakaway was, I believe that was when, I believe that was it. Where,
pass.
Domi,
was it that pass?
Yeah, Domi intercepted the pass, got it up to Bertuzzi, and he got the good chance. And then later, I thought on the power play, Kyrou tried to pass along the boards and kind of rim it around to the other side. And I actually thought that was a good play by him because Buchnevich and Krug were both heading there. They both somehow fucking missed it, especially Krug. What the hell? What are you not doing waiting on the left post or at the left point for that pass? And Gregor comes in and has all the time in the world to get a shot on Binnington. He makes the save. But yeah, just overall, I mean, not a good game, I thought, for that defensive pairing. And it's just funny how that works, right? Matt Kessel, let's celebrate him. His first point, but you just played your worst NHL game.
I have a feeling, I have a feeling we'll be talking about him in a certain segment that's coming up, but I also have a feeling that he's reached a point where he needs a couple games in the press box to get that other perspective for a little bit.
Yeah, and who I think's played well is Calle Rosen.
Yeah, I thought it looked good.
I think Rosen's been fine. I think you can put him in a little higher position, maybe try him with Krug, and then unfortunately, I think you got to put Tucker in there. But yeah, I agree with Bill. I think you got to let this kid kind of sit back, watch the game a little bit, watch the tape, watch the games live, and then let him come back in 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, he's 2 own goals in the last 3 games. It's pretty rough stretch for the kid right now.
Minnesota's up 3-1. Arizona has pulled their goalie. 1:55 left. So let's hope for a miracle comeback here.
Let's hope. In this game, I thought. Sorry, might be mowing your lawn here, but again, we talked about it already a little bit. Binnington, great fucking game, right? I mean, he was great. The breakaway save on Bertuzzi, we already mentioned in the first period. 350 of the second. Again, he makes that great breakaway save on Gregor. 1840 of the second. Toronto power play. And it was funny, Bill, that I was getting ready to send you. I'm like, this is my save of the game if you want a suggestion from me. Because he makes a great play. Matthews was behind the net, slid a perfect pass to Bertuzzi. Both Blues defensemen, Leddy and Kessel, went behind the net to try and stop the pass, but that just, of course, exposes two guys up front in front of the net. So Bertuzzi on the right side, slid it over to Domi on the other side. Bennington stretches over, makes the save. That was going to be my pick, but then I was like, oh, yeah, there was another ridiculous save from Jordan Binnington in this game, which we'll get to in a little bit. But still, Jordan Binnington and the fourth line, I think, were the best four players on the ice for the Blues all night.
Shots in this game were 32-15 for Toronto. Just not enough pucks on net for the Blues, which it's a common thread, even in games they win. A good chunk of those, they're just not getting as many shots as you'd like to see them get. I'm not totally against the quality over quantity, but when your quantity is 15 for the game, it's like that's not enough. I mean, you got to start thinking, okay, we need some quantity at some point.
Quality over quantity was definitely okay with me 2 years ago with the high-powered offense they have. They don't have that high-powered offense. They need to take the chances they get.
Yeah. Especially when you have guys who can shoot the puck like Kyrou. Kyrou's got a laser.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, come on.
You know who could pick it too, I think, is Hayes. I've seen some clips of him in Philly and some of the goals he scored here. It's like that dude can fire it too, but like they all pass him up for passes. And it's ridiculous.
Hayes is an enigma for me. He can look really good on a shift, and another shift he can look like he can't handle the puck worth a shit. And he's slow, so that doesn't help him in some areas. But he sometimes he just looks like he can't handle it at all. It's like it's like a hot potato out there on the ice. It's crazy. But then he'll recover and make a fantastic play. It's so weird.
Yep.
How he's up and down.
He's a poor man's Joe Thornton. Big, slow, but strong as an ox.
Yeah.
And has above average hands. Just can't string, games together.
Bennington stopped 28 out of 31, and the power play was 0-for-2 for St. Louis, which I mentioned. And Toronto was also 0-for-2. So the PK played well for the Blues, not allowing a goal. So, and I guess our next segment is Bill Day's Save of the Week, Volume 2, I guess. We do volumes here?
Yeah, sure. We can do volumes.
Volume 2. So
take her away, Bill. Kurt, turn off your mic. Here we go.
Yeah, Volume 1 was all about Joel Hofer against the Kings, and Volume 2 is Jordan Binnington against Nick Robertson. So as we talked about, as we get into the clip, this is another head scratcher of a defensive effort by Kessel and Krug.
Bill, I'm going to interrupt you. Can you go full screen, bottom right, third one from the right? There you go.
There you go.
Is that working for you better?
Much better. I'll shut up now.
All right. So on this play, you have Max Domi splitting Kevin Hayes and Matt Kessel for a stretch pass. Great reception along the boards by Bertuzzi. And what the hell is Torrey Krug doing here? Collapsing to cover for Matt Kessel, but leaving Robertson exposed, right? Wide open. The save is a thing of beauty, right? It's similar to what we saw with Hofer last week against the Kings. The strong push from Binnington, going from his right to his left, picking up that, he's seen this shit before with this defense in front of him, that they're covering the wrong guy and exposing somebody coming back. That push is great, but really the key to this, and as we get into this right there, watching that he's pushing across, but he doesn't go flat. He pushes and extends the knee up, the glove up. He leads with the glove. I should have said that. Leads with the glove, keeps the knee up and gets across. great save. Again, a situation where the shot comes back into the body. If Robertson takes a one-timer instead of cradling and throwing the wrist shot, probably much better chance that this goes in. But man, great push, great form by Binnington. It hurts my abs just thinking about how much went into him pushing and keeping his body up and taking out the center of the net. Again, it comes down to multiple factors, but that's the forward shooting back across the grain rather than taking a one-timer and trying to snipe upper glove. But that's modern goaltending. It's playing the percentages. It's covering as much of the middle of the net as possible on a scramble situation like that. Great save by Jordan Binnington.
I like your comment about Krug. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right.
I mean, I get what he's doing. I guess he's trying to cut off the cut to the middle, but I don't think that play was there for him, and he leaves that guy exposed behind him. Oof.
Yeah. No, he is desperately trying to make up for his partner's gaffe. And as 37 put in the chat earlier, let me know when you find a good defenseman, because
I agree, man.
It was less than stellar.
When the play was happening in real time, I saw Krug's head like completely. It was like he forgot. Oh yeah, I'm the other defenseman. You mentioned he, was maybe filling in for the other defenseman's gaff in Kessel, but it's like, if there's a point where he's looking only at the puck carrier, and I'm just like, no, what are you doing? Look at the trailer. There's always a trailer. This is the NHL. And he just went straight to Bertuzzi, left wide open for Robertson. And you got to think, as great as a save as that was from Binnington, if he's a righty, that's a one-time over the arm, right under the bar goal for Toronto. Luckily, Robertson's a lefty, and he had to cradle and then shoot. Gave Binnington a little bit of time to come over and get the shot. It stopped the shot.
If he's a righty, it's a one-timer.
No, I think it's an easier one-timer for a lefty.
Yeah,
but I think
really,
I think the righty probably cradles that longer and brings it back across the grain and lets Binnington slide out of position.
Yeah, as a righty, taking a pass across your body for one-timer, that's always been difficult for me.
Let's take another look here.
Oh. Yep, coming left side.
No, I think as a righty, you receive that pass in one motion and you get a good shot off.
No, the lefty has the one-timer.
Much easier for a lefty to get a one-timer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Disagree.
No, you're wrong.
Because you're getting the pass across your body and then you take the shot.
A pass across your body is a difficult one-timer. What are you talking about?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Like not on a play like that.
Yes, it is. Letting that puck come across your body
from the right side all the time, and I'm a lefty. It is easier to take a shot from your offside.
It's easier to corral. You can corral the puck and shoot. Not a wind up a one-timer.
I'm not saying wind up. I'm saying you just take the wrist shot. It hits your stick and you shoot it right away.
Okay. So a wrist shot or a one-timer? What are we talking here? That's different.
You said wind up. I'm not.
I said one-timer. We said one-timers.
I'm talking about a one-timer.
One-timer is a slap shot, not a wrist shot.
It's a shot. It's the minute it hits your stick, you're shooting it.
A one-timer is a wrist shot, as a slap shot, snapshot. Wrist shot.
It's not a slap shot. I'm saying you're okay. They receive a pass.
Bill,
the minute it's on their stick, they're shooting it. That's what I'm saying.
A wrist shot. I am disappointed in you, Jeff.
What?
Bill, help me out.
Yeah, no. A one-timer you want coming into you as a righty there, Robertson didn't need it's. I think it comes down to that it was a bad pass from Bertuzzi that didn't allow the one-timer, right? Or not that it wasn't a bad pass, it wasn't a perfect pass. So Robertson couldn't one-time it, but the one-timer there is for a lefty, not a righty. There are few
Disagree.
players
If it's a
players
perfect
in
pass,
the world that would be able to one-time a shot coming across.
no,
like
Jeff,
absolutely
I-
not. You guys need to get back on the hockey rink.
No. Okay. I
Yes.
think you're explaining. I think you're thinking one timer as something that's not a snap or a slap shot. You're thinking one timer as grab and shoot.
Okay, don't go anywhere.
And a wrist shot. I never in you don't. One timers are not wrist shots. One timers are.
I've got a left-handed stick here. Okay, I've got a left-handed
Yeah.
stick. If I'm receiving a pass, God, it's really hard to do this in frame. If I'm receiving a pass and it's coming across my body, the minute it hits my blade, I can just snap it to the net. And if it's on the other side, I've got to cradle for a second and then shoot.
No, you don't
When
have
it's
to do either
across your
one.
body and it's a perfect pass, you can one-time that way easier when it's across your body.
Wrist shots are not one timers. You're using the wrong lingo.
I'm not talking about wrist shot. I'm talking about you get the puck on your stick and you whip it at the net right away. That's what I'm saying. It's not a slap shot every time.
I didn't say every time. I said a one timer is a snapshot slap shot.
I'm
Otherwise
saying you snap it the minute it hits your stick.
No cradling on the play. And the reason why Robertson didn't score here was because he cradled. And it would be, I think a righty has a better angle with a better pass, but they're not going to one time it. They are going to cradle it and try to probably push off back to the right and go upper glove.
Anytime that shot,
if it's a perfect pass, that is a one-timer for a righty, but it has to be perfect.
Anytime the puck comes across your body, it's never an easier shot ever.
Much more difficult.
Disagree.
Anytime.
Let's get on the rink sometime, Kurt, and I'll feed you a couple one-time passes, and you tell me from each side.
I'm a forward. I've been in that position plenty of times.
I know, and I still play. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. Anytime the puck comes across your body, if I'm a righty from left to right, anytime that happens, it's always a harder shot than it is if that puck is coming from my right to my. I'm a righty. If it's coming from this way, it's so much easier than to wait for that puck to come across my body. It's much easier to snap, slap, wrist, whatever, to grab and fire that when it's coming from this way.
Disagree. Let's get a hockey rink together sometime.
What do you want to?
And we will practice this.
And I guarantee you, you're gonna go out there and you'll be like, "Oh no, I was talking about this," and I'm like, "No, that's not what I was talking about."
I won't. We can record it, and I don't care. I'll wear a lapel mic.
Bring the GoPro. Do it.
I've got it. We can do it. I'm down. Let's do it.
I am shocked that you think this. I am shocked.
I'm not shocked.
Maybe I'm not.
I'm telling you, when I play, I take one-timers from my offside way easier than I do when it's on my right side, correct side.
I don't see how that's well. Okay, then you're unusual because that's not the norm.
I guess
for most people.
All right. Man, I'm going to find video evidence to prove that I'm correct, but that's for another time.
Okay.
Yeah. So final score: Minnesota 3, Arizona 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, the third goal was a kind of an own goal by Vejmelka, and made the save on Boldy, and as he tried to adjust to cover the puck and center himself, he kicked it into his own net, and Boldy acted like it was a super talented play. I hate that.
So the NHL trade deadline, March 8th. I guess we can start talking about what the Blues may or may not do. Currently, the standings, the Blues are in the second wildcard spot in the West, 58 points, 2 points ahead of Nashville. The Blues do have a game in hand on them. And they're 3 points ahead of Calgary, also with a game ahead on them. Minnesota, who just won now, they have, I guess, 57, so they're 1 point behind the Blues with 2 more games played. I assume this is not updated since it just ended. So,
Probably
either
not.
way, Blues are right now second wildcard spot. And I guess you put this in here, Jeff. Players reported in the block: Chris Tanev, Noah Hannafin, Sean Walker, Adam Henrique, Tarasenko, Gensel, Lawton, Jake Allen, Chikrin. Chikrin's always in the news for being moved.
I just threw Jake Allen in there for fun, by the way, because he is actually on the trade block apparently.
Well,
but
Another
obviously that is
another
no bearing with the Blues
$8
fans.
though. No.
Yeah,
No.
it's almost $4 million. Almost.
No.
Yes.
As a drunk Blues fan, I see let's get the band back together. 4 pieces from the 2019 run right there.
Oh yeah,
Bring them all back.
and hey, former number 1 pick Eric Johnson. Why not
Yeah,
get him back too?
redemption story.
That's right.
Joel Edmondson, Pat
Yep.
Maroon, Matt Dumba. A lot of names there. I don't see the Blues acquiring anybody of significance. I mean, I say this confidently now, pretty confident, and that's gonna be the case, a month from now, or whenever it is, a few weeks from now. I think they know what this team is, and they're about where they expected to be, and I don't think they want to give away anything for a short, unless it's a hockey move, right? Like they always say. Like if it's to make this team better now and in the future, great, do it always. But nothing rental that's any significant salary or that require any significant prospects or anything. No.
Right. And I don't see there being a really good hockey move here at this point. If Snugger goes pro after the World Junior and was here lighting it up, Kyrou becomes a little more expendable. You could possibly see something to move for one of these longer term defensemen, but no, they're not even gonna be able to add anything that's like a 5% Ryan Miller type move.
Speaking of which, the Ryan Miller move, that was a there was something on Twitter about that. What was that? Did you see that, Jeff? It's about the it was a question about what was your
that was his thing about what
it was on Reddit.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it Reddit?
The thing I posted in our chat.
Yeah, that could be a great segment for a future show.
Yeah, there was a great question posted on Reddit, the Blues channel. What is your worst Blues take of all time?
Oh, yes.
And I think we should save that. I think that is an excellent long discussion we could have on this show.
Yeah.
Because we've had some bad ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of any right off the top of my head, but I know I've had a bunch.
Yeah. Well, and like in that thread, and again, we don't need to get into this now. People were saying Jay Bouwmeester. People saying how bad he was. And I'm like, he was bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he all of a sudden was like, oh, everyone's realizing how good he was. No, he was awful.
Yeah. Right.
And then he got better because he got his injury problem fixed.
Same thing can be said about Colton Parayko.
Yeah. And I think I saw somebody responded with I loved the Ryan Miller trade at the time, and I was like, I did too. I remember talking about this with Bill because I know Bill was a Halak guy, and he wanted Halak to be playing, and I was of the opinion that I wanted Elliott to play, and if you weren't going to play Elliott, then I love the Miller acquisition. Didn't work out. Didn't work out.
Yeah, my dad, I remember he texted you and he heard and he said, "This is the final piece. The Blues are winning the cup this year." And boy, was he wrong.
I mean,
real quick with this, I didn't put it in here, but there's been the TSN insiders and shit. They're posting all the their top 20 trade targets for the trade deadline. You know what names have come up a lot for the Blues?
Huh.
Marco Schelotto.
Jacob Vrana, which, okay, Kasperi Kapanen, but the number one, and this guy even made the top 10 for TSN, Pavel Buchnevich.
Really?
See, I had a conversation with somebody about Buchnevich. That's interesting to me because he has got 2 more years left.
I think 2 years.
Two on his contract. So, and he's a bargain player right now. So, he's making like five something. So I don't understand unless you get a lot for him. Like, again, to make your team a lot better now and in the future, I'd trade anybody. But 2 years left on the contract. He's a bargain player. Why would you move him now? You don't have to. The Blues want to make the playoffs this season. So moving him would hurt that. It hurt their chances of making the playoffs. So I don't. Someone brought this up. Was it Elliot Friedman or somebody? Somebody brought it up. Some big name brought it up. And I was like,
it was
I don't.
TSN guy.
I don't get it. I don't get. And surely it's speculation because this doesn't make any sense to me. If you sit down and really think about it. I know that they said, well, they can't afford to pay him when his contract's up. That may be true, but there's no reason to trade him right now.
Right.
Because
he's a next year deal makes much more sense.
Yes. Because then you can see where this team might be in a different position next season. Maybe they won't do it next season either. Maybe this team is way better next season. Maybe they're challenging for the division and they want to keep their assets and maybe they let him walk, because they want to make a run.
Yeah, that's my thought. If this was a full rebuild, if this was like Armstrong came out after the Berube firing and he's like, we just need to go full rebuild. We need to get a young coach in here. We're going to trade off assets. Okay, I get that. Get what you can at the deadline if something good comes up. But this isn't a full rebuild. Look, this team's in a playoff position. They're expected to still be there next year and the year after that. Why get rid of Buchnevich now? It doesn't make any sense.
Especially if he's, I maybe I understand it if he makes a lot of money, but he's a bargain player. You're trying to dump salary. That would at least be a reason. I don't understand, why you would move him now. That I have not. The only reason that people give is, well, you can't afford him when his contract's up. That's not for 2 years. So yeah, I don't. He's not going. He's not.
And
going
who's to say?
He's not being moved.
Who's to say? You might have been able to move one of those defensive contracts, and the cap's only going to go up from here. So who's to say you can't?
We've talked about this a lot. That way too many fans make the mistake of looking 2 and 3 and 4 years down the road and want to make a trade now because they can't afford this guy when these other contracts come up to renew 2 years from now, when that's what we want to renew those guys and not this guy. You cross that bridge when you come to it. You don't make that move way too early and blow your load before you have to, because like you said, things can happen. You could lose a guy to long-term IR. You could, his career could be over. You could, somebody could approach you, say, hey, we want to acquire Krug, and Willie West no trade. He says, yes, he's gone. There's money. There's all kinds of things that can happen. Trading a guy now because you can't afford him in 2 or 3 years. It's like the Chicago situation with Panarin when they traded him 2 years early. I was like, that's weird. But whatever. He's not being moved. There's not a chance, I don't think.
Well, is there anyone on this list? Again, I think everyone on this list that we've named all have a 1-year contract or are done at the end of this year in their contract. I'm on the boat. Again, like you said, Kurt, I'm willing to make a hockey trade. If it's like,
I love hockey trades.
You're trading Buchnevich or you're trading, let's just say, Parayko to appease the Toronto fans, whatever it is. But you're making a trade that's going to make you better next year and into the future, sure, make the trade. But if you're looking for a rental player, not a fan of that. The only thing that I was looking at possibly for the Blues to get better, to bolster up, that's not just a hockey trade, would be getting Phil Kessel. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I thought maybe that's the one avenue they'll go to try and get one more guy in here that can fill out that top 6. But in terms of getting a rental player, I just think that is completely out of the cards for the Blues.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. And it would be totally something that Armstrong it'd be out of character for him to do that with this
Agreed.
where this team is.
Yep.
Um,
So I want to walk back my argument earlier a little bit. I have thought about it.
you mean the one timer?
The one timer. I think depending on the position the player is in, it is easier to either receive it across the body or, like we saw kind of in the Toronto game, the clip we talked about. Looking at the replay now, Robertson just wasn't in a good position to take the one-timer. If he's standing and he's waiting, that could have been a perfect one-time pass. But he's rushing in. He's trying to get the shot off quick. It's hard to do that when you're rushing in the way he was. But yes, I will walk back what I said. I was wrong. I'm willing to admit that. But there are times a perfect pass across. There is a time when a perfect pass across the body is on the tape and it's perfect for a one-timer. It's just I was wrong. I didn't explain myself correctly.
I think also too probably the angle of where the puck's coming from. Like if it's coming directly to from your left, and it's you got to look like 90 degrees, and it's coming this way, like across your body this way, probably a whole hell of a lot harder than coming from 45 degrees, right? So you got a better look at it. So I guess also, I shouldn't negate any cross-body reception of a pass. The angle depends on it greatly on the actually. So
let's say like the guys in the on the red goal line, and then you're in the slot. There's a good opportunity for a cross-the-body pass that's right on the tape for a one-timer. So
I think
I just
when I was thinking cross the body, I was thinking more directly to your left, not immediately, but pretty close. On a 2-on-1 situation, for example, where you're where the puck might be coming, I don't know how to describe it, but not from an angle, a 45, but more like a 90 or whatever. So anyway,
well, there you go. I admitted fault.
I probably didn't. I was probably being too much of a blanket statement too with my across the body too.
Me too. We were both blanket statement. Bill was probably the only one that was kind of making sense. We just want to argue sometimes.
Argument's fun.
Two guys taking a position and defending it with their lives. Nah, they're never going to be wrong.
We got a couple of questions here. I'm going to pull this up and not even read it first. How about that? Patrick Yoder says, hey guys, been listening on my dog walk. Been wanting to ask, to you, is Nathan Walker a pleasant surprise, a stopgap, a dependable standby, or nothing special?
I think we're all Walker fans here, right? Like we don't.
I like Walker. I don't think he is anything that's going to be long term here necessarily. I think he is what we expect him to be. I think he's a guy that fills in. He's not the greatest option, but I think he's one of those hardworking players that likes to hit Ryan Reeves and take him down.
That was a great hit.
He's more of an identity guy than Vrana was, and Vrana supplanted him on this team. When we got Vrana in here, it was that was why Walker started down in the A this year.
He's a hard worker. He works hard.
He's a heart and soul kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he's. I want to see him here. To me, he and Charlie Lindgren are kind of the same cloth. Just want to see them do well, and he's shown flashes of brilliance, can play up a little bit if we need him to, but he's just a consistent guy. I think he's stabilized the roster, where it's like, when Vrana was here, we kept asking ourselves, when's this guy going to show up? Right? We know what we're going to get from him night in, night out.
I was just going to say that. You know what you're going to get. And I think that's a big deal.
Right.
Some players are up and down. Like Vrana's a great example. Sometimes he disappears. I don't think Walker ever disappears on the ice. He's out there. He'll
he'll play up sometimes. Like he'll be like, "Oh my God, this dude's just offensively. Where did this come from?" But then he doesn't like slump back down to nothing. Like he's still providing an energy on that fourth line that you always need.
Speaking of which, too, they hit on Reeves, which was fantastic in the Toronto game. People are giving Reeves shit for that, and I'm like,
I don't understand.
I don't either. They're saying, well, because Reeves had just said, make hockey violent again. Basically, is what he said. I think I'm not sure if those were his exact words.
Yeah, I think those were his exact words.
And
actually.
which I think a lot of people can get behind that sentiment, but I think Ryan Reeves also has his haters too. I think he's nearing the end of his career. So he's not as effective as he used to be in his role, and his role has diminished because there's not a need for that type of player necessarily anymore. So, but someone was making fun of him for, the guy who just says make hockey violent again gets wiped out by Walker, and I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Reeves should.
If anything, it proves his point, right?
I mean, Reeves got up and continued to play. He didn't bitch or whine about anything. I mean, he was. I don't know what those comments were. It was a great hit. I think Reeves would tell you it was a good hit, right? So I mean, I don't know. That was weird.
Yeah, I just think people try to find ways to villainize certain players. Reeves is one of those because he's kicked a lot of ass.
He's also
in his days.
plays for Toronto, and if you're not a Toronto fan, you kind of hate Toronto typically, right? So
true.
That plays into it. And he's not getting much playing time in Toronto, and he talks a big game, and he's not dressing as much as he used to. So
it is funny how like any kind of hit at all in a Toronto game, you always hear from him, and it's like, the media seeks him out. Like, hey, we just saw, we're talking about Morgan Riley here in a second. They asked him right away, what'd you think of that? And it's like they always go to him because they want him to like comment on hits and violence.
He's a good soundbite
and all that. And it's like, he's a great soundbite. I know as a former media member here.
That's right. That's right.
I've got some good Ryan Reeves stories. Because he was an amazing dude. He was so awesome in the locker room. And I just think people want to hate him just because of the type of player he is and the shit he kind of talks.
So I guess we can go ahead and skip. Next up for the Blues, Thursday versus Edmonton, Saturday versus Nashville, which to me is the biggest game of the season so far. And then Monday versus Toronto again, which depending on how Saturday goes, Monday could be a big game. So
I think I haven't officially decided, but I think I'll be taking my son to his first game of the season, Monday versus Toronto. We're both off school and work, so could be fun.
The noon starts.
What is Monday?
Is it's President's Day.
President's Day.
I'm not off for that day.
Yep.
My kids are. I'm not.
Bank holiday, I'm off.
Well, good for everybody except for me. Rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL. Probably the biggest news story of the week. Morgan Riley's cross-check on Senators Ridley Gregg. Okay, so this and I have my thoughts on this. I'm sure you guys have your thoughts. Gregg takes a slap shot on an empty net. Not just a slap shot. He puts everything into it from about 10 feet out.
Right. He tickled the rafters.
Yeah. Breakaway, empty net goal. Yeah. He wanted to make it known that he was sending this thing through the net, right? And so Riley for the Leafs took exception. This was Ottawa versus Toronto. Riley took exception, cross-checking Gregg after the goal and starting a dust-up between the two teams. There's some question of whether or not this cross-check was meant for the head. Went off his hand, kind of maybe it was grazed his shoulder and got him in the neck, head, whatever. It's up high. And Riley was suspended 5 games for the incident. He is appealing with Bettman. And Gregg says, I don't think you're ever expecting the guy to come cross check you in the face, but I'm also not sure he meant to do that. So first off, your guys' thoughts on the way he scored in the internet. Do you have a problem with that?
I don't give a shit.
Some people think there's a code.
He was excited, man. Like, that's, to me, it's like, Ottawa sucks. They have nothing to be excited about. And he's not a guy that goes and scores. If this was Tarasenko, I might be like, okay, man, what the hell? Like, you've been there before. This is a fucking Greg is a nobody, no offense to him, but he's excited. It's damn, we just beat the fucking Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, I'm excited. Right. Our bench is excited. Our fans are excited. I don't have a problem at all with what he did.
No, and if he misses, he looks like an ass, right? That's the only risk to this play. What I pose, the question I pose here is, was this worse than Sammy Blais ripping a clap bomb on the breakaway against an injured Ben Bishop? Like, to me, the code people should have been up in arms over that. Right, especially goalie guys who say, "Oh, there's a code. You can't do that." Right, Bishop was injured after that Parayko shot, and Blais comes in on the breakaway and winds up and scores. Right, that's the last out of place slap shot that I can think of, and I thought it was brilliant. I think that was strategy. For Greg, it's just, who cares? Who cares how you score into the empty net?
Bill knows the kind of player I was, and this is something that I would have done.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was on the bench one time and I threw my glove at a guy on a breakaway. But anyway, I don't have a problem with what Greg did, but I understand Toronto being pissed off by it, because to me, if I'm on Toronto, we just lost the game, right? Empty net goal. They solidified it, and it's not just Ottawa winning, it's them winning. Greg saying, "Fuck you, we won." So that to me is more of a message to Toronto saying, "Ha ha, fuck you, we just beat you." So I think, which I'm fine with that, as long as you're ready for the repercussions of what you just did.
Right. So, but the repercussions shouldn't be a cross check to the face.
I'm getting to that.
Greg even said,
I'm getting to that. A cross check to the head was the wrong, and if it was meant for the head, whatever, it's still high. That was the wrong response. People were comparing it to Dale Hunter on Turgeon, which I don't think is comparable at all. Not at all.
No,
because Turgeon was unsuspecting. First of all, Greg saw this coming. He put his hands up even, and Turgeon didn't poke the bear. Greg poked the bear. I mean, you can say what you want about not caring about how he's scoring to the net. That's fine, but he did it with authority. You're poking something. You're sending it's a message of sorts. Whatever. You're excited. I get it. But Toronto absolutely, I think, was fair to respond. Not in that way, though.
Right.
You pick a different way.
If you watch the body of Riley, I think it's just kind of like all right, come here, fucker. And he's just like, go to cross check him. I don't think he meant to get him in the face at all. I think it was just unfortunate. It was a happenstance, as they call it. Just it happened. It was a circumstance. Shit happens.
I think
Greg went down a little easy too.
He was fine. I mean, he was fine. And Turgeon was hurt, gone for the playoffs. Right. Greg was Greg was fine. So that's also a difference. Hunter got, was it 20 games, 23 games, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was 20 something. And so Riley gets 5. So the outcome of it matters. I know that a lot of people disagree with that, but it does matter to the league. So that's what it is.
It's in the CBA.
That's what it is.
So Jeff brought up happenstance. Happenstance to me is Sammy Blais, against Jordan Harris. Right? That is happenstance where Harris falls. Right, and it's a complete accident. I think Morgan Riley was stuck in two minds. Am I going to fake him or am I actually going to do this? And he followed through with it and got him up high. I think a better response is to get in his face and cut it down to where nobody can see you, and a little no, I was going to go cup check. right? Get your
cup
get,
check. I'll say glove.
not a
love.
spear, but get your stick under his jack and pull, right? From close in. Send the message that way.
What if Greg had missed? Now
Yeah.
so then
Patrick Steffen writes him a love letter.
So then how do you look at the situation? Now all of a sudden, Greg's a fucking idiot because he missed.
Yeah, I would love that because then the Senators players are coming over and kicking his ass.
Well, the thing is too is that I mean, you could on one hand just say love it with emotion, all that stuff, but then if he misses, it's like, you fucking moron, showboating, showing off. Just put it in the net like a normal person. Don't go showboating. It's like,
God, that would have been hilarious.
I'm like, well, I think the same people that were perfectly fine with what he did may have been saying he shouldn't have done that if he missed. So you got to make it if you do this. You can't miss.
I'll say, talking about code, the thing that what I would have been more upset with, and let's just say it's Morgan Riley because he obviously was closest. Let's say it's Ridley Gregg is coming in on Morgan Riley, 1-on-1, no goalie. He winds up and takes a high slap shot on an empty net, and Morgan Riley's right in front of him. That is a situation where I'm like, Morgan Riley should drop his gloves and beat his fucking ass. That is more of a code issue to me than just taking a slap shot on an empty net, because no one wants to block a fucking slap shot in the face with 10 seconds left on an empty net. Like that to me would be the bigger issue.
Probably depends on like where the shot's coming from and how far out, but still I get you.
Or could you be like Torrey Krug and let the kid get the hat trick with the not hustling back to he hustled. He had a chance to stop that puck. He was already reaching down for the puck to give it to the kid.
In Krug's defense, that was a hell of a bank off the boards. I don't even think he meant to do that.
You give the kid credit. I think to me, whether he meant it or not, Torrey Krug did the right thing.
Patrick Yoder says Greg had something coming.
Oh,
and that's the way I feel. Something meaning not
agree.
A cross check to the head, but yeah.
I think you're right. I could see that. You take a slap shot on the net. You're basically, like you said, in a way saying "fuck you" to Toronto.
Not just a slap shot. He put everything he had into it. It was, and from close in. It was. He wanted to put it through the net.
I get. You need the minute you do. It's like when you lay a dirty hit on someone. You need to turn around and be ready. Like somebody is going to come kick my
Actions
ass.
have consequences.
So
yeah.
Yeah, and I think when he does that, he needs to be ready. Okay, Maple Leafs are going to be pissed about this.
I thought this was fascinating. That the whole online discussion, the varying different opinions and discussions on it. That was. I love sports for this particular scenario. Just the discussion surrounding it. It's interesting to me.
And from the guys on the bench perspective, right? You had to think that at some point Greg's had this conversation with somebody. Oh, if I'm that close in late in the game, I'm clap bombing the whole way, right? And it's like you get egged on to do it, and yeah.
I think what I think a scenario in which this doesn't elicit an attack on the shooter, maybe game 7 of a playoff series, emptying a goal to solidify it and putting it in that way. I don't think it elicits that kind of response because the moment was bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, that, and I think the other team they're not angry, they're more sad and upset.
Yeah, maybe, but I just think the moment being bigger, it was so much more emotional probably than a regular season game. I think that's different. It's different to me. I think that's a more acceptable scenario for that to happen, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
You know what? I've decided I have a different take on this. This is all Ryan Reeves' fault.
Yes.
He called for hockey to be more violent, and Morgan Riley delivered.
Yeah. No, good stuff though. Phil Kessel, which we talked about earlier, to begin working out in Abbotsford, the HL affiliate of the Canucks. He's 36 years old. 36 points for the Golden Knights last season.
36 hot dogs for lunch yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Played for Vancouver coach Rick Tocchet in the past. Tocchet said, Jim Rutherford, the Vancouver president of hockey operations, last couple of weeks was talking to his agent, Kessel's agent. He is going to go down there and skate for 2 or 3 days. We'll see how he is down there and reevaluate from there. So his record of 1,064 consecutive games played is considered active, which is weird to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because how many times have we seen like scoring? Again, we've talked about the scoring between
Yeah, it doesn't count.
seasons. Like, oh, we don't count 50 for 50 if it's not at the start of the year. Well, why the fuck not?
Yeah, you got to be
50 for
wanted.
50 is
You gotta
great.
be- I mean, not being wanted by a team to start the season should affect your streak of playing games.
And it's like Andrew Cogliano had the great streak before the NHL gave him a bogus fucking suspension. I don't know if you guys remember that. And it's like, okay, so suspensions count against your active game streak, but not being wanted by a team doesn't? Like, that's very odd.
Yeah.
But either way,
you want Kessel? I mean, if he doesn't go to Vancouver,
I was going
you
to
want
say
Kessel?
he's not signed, so I think there's still a good chance that another team could be like, well, fuck it, we want him. So doesn't mean Vancouver officially has him. It just means he's working out right now with the Vancouver affiliate.
Right.
I would take him. Why not? Why the fuck not? Let's see what
It's
he's
a
got.
low risk, high reward. He's going to play for the league minimum, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
probably. So, I mean, it's if you got the cap space, it's not going to hurt.
Well, and you figure too,
I
like,
guess.
let's say he plays for the Blues and he doesn't do much. Again, league minimum contract. Maybe a team like Colorado or Vancouver.
You know what you do?
Is like, hey, we'll take him at
Yeah.
the deadline for a 5th round
Exactly.
pick. You know?
You're
Then you get a fucking free draft pick.
you're a team. Any team could take him in that scenario. Give him a tryout of so many games, basically, right? And if he looks good, he's playing all right. He could fill in somewhere for a team and help them a little bit as a depth player. Trade him at the deadline to somebody who might want him. So that's another.
Yeah.
That's the reason to get in now, I guess.
Yep, I agree. I'd take him, but it seems like Vancouver's interested, which, I mean, why not? The guy's won, what, three Stanley Cups? 2 Stanley Cups?
Is it 3? It's 2.
Vegas and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, and
yeah.
Vegas.
Place in Pittsburgh.
How did I forget
Yeah,
Vegas?
so he's got 3.
Pittsburgh, Vegas. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I think that about wraps up our shoe. Unless you guys want to add anything.
Just the breaking news from the Athletic about we talked about a potential great Winter Classic between Detroit and Columbus at the Ohio State University. It's going to happen, but it's going to be a Stadium Series game in 25, according to Athletic tonight.
That's interesting because I had just heard that the Stadium folks were dead set against hosting an outdoor game.
Yep.
That was weird.
We talked about it literally last week. And that just shows to go
It just shows to go.
that the right people in the NHL and apparently at Ohio, the Ohio State, listen to Let's Go Blues Radio.
So
That's interesting. I think it's a good idea because I think it's a kind of a feeling out. Like if it does well, which I think it will, I think that's a potential spot for a future Winter
it'll
Classic.
be a cool picture, that stadium full, and Columbus gets an outdoor game. So
yeah, good for them.
Good for them.
Finally,
yeah.
I think every team should get at least one, just to see what it's
yeah.
like in their at least one home, and some of them haven't even had any, which is ridiculous.
This is what two or three? Well, after Columbus gets one, it'll be
Columbus,
2,
Arizona,
and Florida.
Has Tampa?
Yes. Haven't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, Tampa played wasn't it Nashville in a Stadium Series game? I want to say at
last year. Or
is that
2
right?
years ago.
Dallas played
I know
Nashville.
Nashville's played Dallas.
Yeah, but I thought there was a Stadium Series game that Nashville played in as well.
Our crack researchologist is looking it up right now.
Is Is that me? Because that's what I'm doing.
That's right. That is you. You didn't know you wore that hat on this show?
Apparently, I do. I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay. Tampa. You're right. 2022 at the Nissan Stadium in Tennessee. Tampa Bay Lightning, Nashville Predators.
Okay.
Yeah, wasn't that the game they wore the Smashville jerseys?
Oh, was it?
Is that the game they were?
There's been so many
I don't
outdoor games now.
remember.
They're all blurring together for me.
Yeah.
I know. I can't remember. I just remember the Winter Classic. I did not like the Predators jerseys.
Baked Beaver, we did use Google. Thank you very much.
This is a live show, motherfucker.
This is a live show, and our producer stopped showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, good for Columbus and Detroit. I don't care about. They've had some. So yeah, I mean, it'll be fun. Go Columbus, I guess, in this game, right?
Yeah. Go Columbus.
What's Perron's contract situation in Detroit? Is he up after? No, he's got another year after this one, right?
I think he's got 1 year left.
So he'll be there for it.
Y'all got Google?
No. We'll say he does. We're gonna close it out unless you want to rattle off what you're looking up, Jeff.
Perron, he's a free agent at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So why isn't he on the available free agent?
Because I guess Detroit's going to want to hold on to him for the playoff run.
Okay. Where are they? I haven't checked the standings of Detroit in a while.
If they fall out, the Blues better make my prediction come true.
I guess they're going to try and make the playoffs with. Okay. So yeah, they're in the same spot the Blues are basically. Second wild card, 2 points ahead of New Jersey, who were right behind them. Same amount of games played. That'd be a fun little race. All right. Let's Go Blues Radio has been brought to you in part by Rockin' That Idea Life. You can get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockinthatIdeaLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you, and by Realtor Mike Burgoyne. Give Mike a call today at 314-753-4060. For all of your home buying and selling needs, that's 314-753-4060. That'll wrap up episode 19 of season 13 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder, Bill Day, and producer Austin, who was in the chat for a moment, if you saw that.
Yes.
I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
I can't quit you. Happy Valentine's Day. Let's go Blues.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
You thought I was going to say, son of a bitch, didn't you?